The sanctions bill was floundering in the House, with efforts by the Republican leadership to tack on sanctions against North Korea complicating matters. On Saturday, House Democrats say a deal has been reached on the matter. Representative Steny Hoyer of Maryland reported that the deal will allow for sweeping sanctions against Russia and will also include sanctions against both North Korea and Iran. Officials express hope that the deal will be finalized before the August recess. The key aspect of the bill is that it will dramatically limit the ability of President Trump to ease sanctions on Russia without congressional permission. The exact scope of the new sanctions aren't clear, and in particular, there's been question about the Senate supporting the North Korea sanctions in their version of the bill. The limits on easing sanctions are something that the Republicans initially sought to impose related to the P5+1 Iran nuclear deal as a way to try to undermine the pact. The Democrats, however, wanted it for Russia, believing President Trump to be conspiring to ease sanctions on them, despite him having made no move to do so in the last 6 months. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports the Republican-led efforts to overhaul healthcare incurred a potentially significant roadblock when the Senate parliamentarian said several provisions key to winning conservative votes would require 60 votes to pass rather than 51. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky chose to undertake healthcare reform using a process known as reconciliation. The procedural tactic was first introduced as a means for legislators to quickly alter budget-related legislation. In order to help quicken the process, legislation being considered under reconciliation is not subject to filibuster. The caveat is that the legislation must relate strictly to matters affecting the federal budget. Legislation dealing with policy rather than the nation's pocketbook is not eligible to be considered under reconciliation rules. The Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough acts as the referee to determine whether legislation meets the reconciliation requirements. She offered initial guidance that several key parts of the GOP plan were outside of the bounds of reconciliation and would be subject to the 60-vote threshold necessary for ending a filibuster. Specifically, she said GOP plans to cut all federal funding for Planned Parenthood and outlaw government-subsidized health insurance plans that pay for abortion were policy-focused rather than budget-focused and would not be subject to reconciliation. The parliamentarian's ruling could be moot anyway if the Republicans can't muster the 51 votes necessary to begin formal debate on the legislation. With a slim 52-48 majority and all Democrats expected to vote no, Republicans can afford to lose only 2 votes and still proceed, with Vice President Mike Pence breaking a 50-50 tie. As of last week, at least 4 GOP senators had publicly stated their opposition to the bill. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports St. Louis will install temporary air conditioners in a city jail known as the Workhouse after temperatures in the city topped 100 degrees Fahrenheit, triggering protest outside the lockup, according to local media reports on Saturday. Police used pepper spray to disperse about 150 demonstrators outside the city's medium security institution, protesting the sweltering conditions in which inmates were being held. Karan Ado, a spokesman for the mayor, said in an email on Saturday to provide relief, the city will install temporary AC units starting as early as Monday. St. Louis voters in 2015 rejected a bond measure that would have paid for more air conditioning in the jail and other public work projects. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
In a statement this week, famed actor and television icon Dick Van Dyke confessed to being the Zodiac Killer, responsible for terrorizing Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. The 85-year-old actor, known for his television and film appearances in classics such as Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Mary Poppins, and The Dick Van Dyke Show, said he committed the Zodiac murders but also killed over 37 additional people. Van Dyke said, quote, "It was unbelievably easy for me to go kill someone, come back to Burbank, and get on set. It was actually part of the fun to see if I could book a flight and make it back in time." Van Dyke's confession is corroborated by several eyewitnesses describing the Zodiac Killer as, quote, "a gangly, loose-limbed man with a toothy grin and a spring in his step." In other news, the open dialogue two Americans are having about race is pretty hilarious. A husband is experimenting with an open marriage, and a f***ing loser is at a movie all by himself. This episode of The Onion Week in Review was paid for, funded, and entirely created by The Onion, and in no way benefited from cheap, thankless viewers like you. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. Welcome to the live Sunday edition of the show. As always, you are welcome to take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever's on your mind here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up tonight, economics in one lesson. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Jonny Ray.
And Mark.
And that's Jonny Ray's book recommendation here that we've been slowly traversing through chapter by chapter, not reading it on the air, but discussing the ideas contained therein. That's still on the way. We'll be covering the minimum wage. But first, pretty big news this week, and it's not good news for those of you who support ending the war on drugs, who want to see that insanity come to an end. Well, the police and global police are doubling down. They're cracking down. In the last week or two, have really delivered a pretty strong blow to the Darknet marketplaces. And for listeners that are maybe new to the show, maybe new to the idea of a Darknet market, do either of you want to take a crack on a description of what that is?
Sure. There's another internet out there that the vast majority of us don't use, and you can only access it through the Tor browser. The Tor stands for the Onion Router. It was a government program. I think the Navy instituted it, the Naval Department of Intelligence or whatever it is.
I think the analogy has something to do with peeling layers.
Yeah, there's a bunch of layers to this particular internet, and it's far, far, far more private than the regular internet. Like your information there is very difficult to track. So people who don't want to have websites that are very difficult to track are going to have them on the Tor network.
But not impossible. Some of them have screwed up and left some data out there that they shouldn't have left out there, and it has led law enforcement to their server locations. And they've ended up having their sites being taken down.
Now, governments use the Tor browser as well for their own ends to have...
For protection of identity and things like that?
Yeah, when they have confidential informants or something that they want to communicate across the world, they use Tor for that. Did a government entity create the Onion Router system?
Wasn't it DARPA or something like that? Some kind of DARPA project?
Tor?
Yeah.
I thought it was naval.
You might be right. You might be right.
I'll look it up.
Well, anyway, so there are these underground marketplaces where, and it was the Silk Road that was the first one, the first real big underground darknet market, the granddaddy of them all, if you will. And they took that down back in 2013. Ross Ulbricht, the founder of the Silk Road, is now in a prison cell for the rest of his life, times 2 plus 40 years. So, they were supposedly sending a message to the darknet when they put him in prison for the rest of his life, and the Darknet responded by opening up new markets. There's dozens of them out there, but there are obviously only going to be a few of them that are the top marketplaces. These places are competing to attract users who are both sellers and buyers of things that are frequently illegal, but not always. Sometimes there's legal products on the Darknet markets, but they're known for being these places where drugs are sold.
Right. I went to to Silk Road back when that thing existed some years ago, and just to take a look at what's going on there, and I saw I think I went to the Armory, which is their sister site also. So I saw like they had
I wasn't around very long.
a rocket-propelled grenade, which I thought was, well, that's interesting. How the hell are you going to get that shipped to your house?
Yeah,
and
that's tricky. That's one of the reasons why it didn't work out.
Some of the other things that I saw were like just people making homemade backpacks and selling them on Silk Road. And then I saw all kinds of drugs and stuff.
Yeah, it was mostly drugs back when I was looking at the Silk Road. The markets today, however, you could argue that the government cracking down would somehow have an effect, but it hasn't. It's actually had the opposite of the effect or the opposite of the intended effect, which you would think would be to stop the black market trades. But what's actually happened is by taking down the Silk Road, they actually made room for, let's call them, less moral darknet marketplaces, where things like stolen credit card numbers are allowed now, weapons are allowed on some of them now. So Silk Road did not allow weapons. Silk Road did not allow certain, I think, poisons, child pornography. There were certain things that Silk Road said no to. Basically anything that could result in one person harming another person. It was kind of the general rule of what wasn't allowed on Silk Road.
Right.
And since then, these other marketplaces have been allowing things that could, bring harm to others. So thanks, government, for taking one thing out and then leaving this, void in the marketplace for these less scrupulous people to fill. Well, anyway, so over the last several years since 2013, when they took down the Silk Road, they then took down Silk Road 2.0. When that came out a year later, or when it came out a month later after Silk Road 1 was taken down, but a year later, they waited a year and then they took that out. They were actually involved in Silk Road 2 from the ground floor, they being the federal government of the United States. And then recently...
So they basically set it up.
Correct. And so recently... there have been more takedowns. There have been a number of markets taken down that, I don't even remember what their names are at this point. And
there have been lots of drug dealers busted out there in the real world, too.
And in the case here, taking out one of the marketplaces doesn't stop the drug dealers because they all have accounts on all of these marketplaces. They've got their foot in the water all over the place. So if one marketplace blows up, or if it gets taken down by the cops, or if it gets what they call an exit scam, where a market owner has always been a scumbag, but they put up a market for the purpose of making people think it's legitimate and that it's going to stick around, and then people deposit a bunch of Bitcoin into it, and then they just close the doors and take a walk. And that's called an exit scam, where they walk away with usually millions of dollars worth of people's Bitcoin. So it seems like most of these markets tend to last no longer than about 2 years, and they usually end up failing in either a raid and the arrest of the owners or in an exit scam. That tends to be how it goes out there. So, when you get into one of these places, you should know that it's probably going to end in one of those two ways. And indeed, recently, yet another one went down. We talked about Alphabay on this program. It was the world's top darknet marketplace, and it was taken down within the last couple of weeks. We discussed the owner, how he, or the alleged owner, now we'll never know for sure because he's dead, what happened to him. He was arrested in Thailand and ended up dead in a Thai jail cell, waiting extradition to the United States, supposedly at his own hand. But turns out there's an extra level of intrigue to this Alphabay takedown, and Wired's Andy Greenberg has the story when Alphabay, the world's largest dark web bazaar, went offline 2 weeks ago. It threw the darknet into chaos as its buyers and sellers scrambled to find new venues. What those dark web users didn't and couldn't know, that chaos was planned. Dutch authorities had already seized Hansa, which was another major dark web marketplace, the previous month. For weeks, they operated it as usual, quietly logging the usernames, passwords, and activities of its visitors, including a massive influx of Alphabay refugees. Very, very sneaky. So they took down, at the time that Alphabay went down, it was one of about maybe 4 or 5 top darknet marketplaces. Hansa was one of the top 3 or 4 darknet markets. Alphabay was number 1. There was another market called Dream Market. They are supposedly still around, but when we checked the other night, it was down. So I haven't actually taken the time to look into Dream. Maybe that was recently also taken down by law enforcement because people were saying that they believed that Dream Market had also been infiltrated. And the reason why they were saying that, and I don't think they covered it in this story, but somebody found the alleged IP address of Dream Market in their code. So if somebody just looking at the code of the site could find the IP address, well, so could the federal government or some other government of the world. And so that was sort of the suggestion that these guys are so sloppy. They've been caught from a while back, and the feds are running their site too.
So were all of these places being run from inside the United States? People inside?
No, I think that I had read that Hansa was, Dream maybe, was in Lithuania, a Lithuanian server location. So back to the story.
I swear if I was doing this, I'd find some place that was difficult, that just didn't like folks, that didn't like working with other nations. And
some country
went it from there, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be, but
nor do I.
It's good. That's a good point. There are, and there's still some markets out there, but they've taken down 2 of the top markets within the last 2 weeks. And this one market, Hansa Market, they left it online, didn't tell anybody they'd taken it. That way they could get info on everybody who was leaving Alphabay and trying to get a new account set up somewhere else.
The government was running a drug dealing site.
Just like how the federal government ran a child porn site here in the United States, except this was a different government, in this case, Dutch authorities. 855-450-FREEZE, the toll-free number, 855-450-3733. We'll tell you more coming up.
Ew, get the stinky dog away from me. Bad breath and bad gas. Petey stopped eating. All his hair fell out.
Itching, licking, missing fur.
At least $5,000 in vet bill. Creams, antibiotics, sprays.
No results.
Everything we tried failed except the Dinovite. DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
The omega-3 fatty acids. Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa. The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dinovite is nutrition.
The shedding has stopped and the itching has stopped.
Her coat is not soft, it's silky, it's healthy and shiny and glossy.
She's got life, she's got energy.
Tons of energy, no more bad smell.
Dinovite's the bomb.
Dinovite is the best thing that's ever happened to my dogs, besides me, of course.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-557-0158. That's 800-557-0158. Again, 800-557-0158.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free. Join us here. We're talking about the dark web, specifically the recent crackdown on Darknet marketplaces, some of the top markets being taken offline in a very sneaky manner. One of them, Alphabay, taken down in a very public way. And the other one, Hansa Market, had been taken down weeks beforehand. So before the Alphabay was taken down, they took Hansa Market but continued to operate at the Dutch police as normal. So watching, logging usernames, passwords, information about what people are ordering and from who, and that kind of thing.
Dutch police aren't exactly known for huge drug crackdowns. I'm kind of interested.
Apparently they are now. I'm sure they're arresting people in the Netherlands, Mark, but you probably don't see the news stories about that because you don't live there.
It's true. Everything I hear about them, they seem to be pretty lax on drugs, allowing you to go so far as to test your MDMA at clubs before you go in.
Well, just because you've heard that the Dutch government might be a little more lax on drugs as far as personal possession or whatever, doesn't mean they're not still trying to catch drug dealers over there. But regardless, they took down Alphabay. We're going to continue with the story here. You're welcome to share your thoughts at 855-450-FREE, like Freedom, 855-450-3733. Now, I don't know if there are any Darknet markets that are taking Dash, but Dash is a cryptocurrency, and that's one of the things that made Darknet marketplaces popular and even possible, was the idea of money that could be a little bit more difficult to trace. Dash is digital cash. It's a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast, private, and easy. Fees are low, and transactions are fast, or can even be confirmed instantly. You can pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime for just pennies on the dollar. And Dash is decentralized and run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Anyone can invest in Dash and earn rewards for helping run the Dash network. So join Dash and help create a better financial system for everyone. Take back control over your financial future today, and find out more at Dash.org. There's a lot of momentum behind Dash right now, so go to Dash.org and find out why. As we continue here with the story from Wired.com, Andy Greenberg reporting on how they took over this Hansa marketplace and continued operating it, and then took down the Alphabay marketplaces, and it's sort of a multi-jurisdictional, multi-governmental task force or whatever, because the
Europol,
the Thailand government, the Dutch government, the United States Department of Justice. They then took down Alphabay, and all the Alphabay people are then looking for places to go because they still want to get their drugs.
Oh, yeah. That didn't stop people from – all this didn't stop people from buying drugs.
Right. It's the same old story as back out on the streets. Before there were Darknet marketplaces, people would have to buy their drugs from street dealers locally. And if the cops took down one street dealer, that's just an opportunity for somebody else to step up and be willing to take that risk and make some money.
If I could just hear one story from one law enforcement officer about how it just saved possibly one life, then I would be complete. No, because that's what they're going, that's all they've got.
Yes.
Is maybe we stopped a drug user from getting drugs one time, one Saturday night. They weren't able to go out and they didn't OD,
find it.
Or they didn't drive inebriated in some manner or another.
So the next day they made 5 phone calls.
And they didn't take a life. Yeah. So what we've done is we flushed the lives of this, how many of these people out there filling a role in the marketplace down the tubes, and we've made our pensions, which people will pay after 20 years, basically keep us on the payroll for after 20 years of service. That's it. We made ourselves useful.
There's a great quote near the end of the Wired article that I'm looking at. I assume it's the same one that you have, Ian, from Andrew McCabe from the FBI. We know that removing top criminals from the infrastructure is not a long-term fix. There's always a new player waiting in the wings, ready to fill those shoes. Acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe said in Thursday's press conference. It's like demolishing a building. Hacking away at individual walls and beams only does so much. But using federal statutes to prosecute these individuals is akin to blowing up the foundation with dynamite.
No, it's not.
With the weight of this kind of operation, the organization crumbles.
No, it won't. There is no organization.
He's just restating.
What evidence does this guy have for this?
He's a moron. I mean,
that's right. Your government employee that you're paying money to has just told absolute nonsense through the international media.
There's no organization to crumble because none of the people involved even know who they are.
If I came out and said something like this on a much smaller platform than this guy had doing this, people would be all over me like ants on a picnic. This guy comes out and says the dumbest. No reporter said, "Excuse me, sir. Did you smoke some of those drugs? Because what you said made no damn sense. Are you telling me that you have just taken the foundation out from under internet drug sales? Is that what this guy suggested?"
That's what he's suggesting. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
It's very simple, Mark. They know that removing top criminals from the infrastructure is not a long-term fix, but removing criminals from the organization, removing top criminals from the infrastructure, that is a long-term fix.
He's just contradicted himself.
He doesn't, I mean, maybe he
Ladies and gentlemen, one of two things is true. This guy is either correct, and in, call it 1 year's time, call it 2 years' time, you will see the infrastructure of online drug sales has been decimated by the Federal Bureau of Investigations, Interpol, and the Asiatic whatever police services here. And
by decimated, you mean destroyed, not taken down by 10%?
That's right. Decimated as in destroyed. Right. Or you'll be able to see some real differences. In 2 years, we'll be reporting on, man, those police, they've really put a stop to internet drug use. We've never done a story like that. No. You know why? Because it's stupid.
Impossible.
Or this guy that you're paying, you're being forced to pay. The money is being extracted for his paycheck. And by the way, it's got to be 6 figures.
Oh, yeah. Director of the FBI?
Yeah. Head liar.
So maybe he thinks that the Darknet marketplaces are organized like a typical criminal organization. Maybe he believes that any Darknet marketplace, whether it be Alphabay, Hansa, Silk Road, whatever the name happens to be, that it's all run by the same criminal organization. Maybe he thinks that, you remember El Chapo, that guy, or Pablo Escobar?
The guy that he couldn't keep in jail, what was it, 2 times?
Right, yeah. Well, he was in Mexican jail at one point. But,
okay.
But yeah, that guy. They think that there's somebody out there or some criminal organization that's running all of these things, and that they're somehow damaging that organization by taking out their website and taking some of their administrators down. No, there's no criminal organization like that out there. Ross Ulbricht, the creator of the Silk Road, was what, 29 when he got busted or something like that? Yeah. I mean, he was in his late 20s when he started the website. And he was just some, guy from a college in Texas who, was a programmer.
Most of the administrators that they had any kind of tracking on from the Silk Road, besides Ross Ulbricht, were their own employees, the government agents.
Well, not most of the administrators.
Who'd they bust besides Ulbricht that was a administrator?
They busted one guy and they replaced him with an agent.
Okay,
but
so
the rest of the agents were not there.
3 more agents after that? So they busted 2 head honchos at Silk Road.
I think they busted
3 of them. 3 head honchos were their own.
I'm not sure. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. I'm pretty sure I thought there was only one person that they had infiltrated with, but we'll continue in moments. Free Talk Live.
Is that Ellen painting her garage?
Yesterday she was trimming her hedges.
What's her secret?
I heard she was eating this new super berry called the aronia berry.
Aronia what?
Aronia berries from superberries.com. They're known for having one of the highest levels of antioxidants that helps with overall wellness.
Where can we get them?
Go to superberries.com/radio. And right now we get a free smoothie recipe book with our order. Plus we can save $4 at checkout.
I can't wait. I've got lots of projects I need to get done.
Yes, you do.
Choose health. Eat purple. Superberries.com. If there's a toxic chemical, biological, gas, smoke emergency while traveling at home or on your job, are you protected? Are you prepared? There are over 400,000 fires in the USA every year. Up to 85% of all deaths in a fire are due to smoke inhalation. 3 minutes without air and we as humans will die. Be prepared and escape safely with our Safe Escape smoke hoods, giving you up to 60 minutes of breathable air protection. Order yours online at ase-safety.com. That's ase-safety.com. And get up to 40% off plus free shipping.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want. We're talking about the Darknet Takedown, a coordinated recent attack on Darknet marketplaces around the globe by different law enforcement agencies working together to, try to damage the marketplace. And certainly, the Darknet, I would say, is likely reeling from these attacks. It was a lot to lose at once, losing Alphabay and then Handsome Market, and I don't know what's going on with Dream Market right now. I haven't had the chance to look it up. But bad scene. We'll continue with what's going on here, the intrigue, if you will, in moments. It's Ian, Jonny, Ray, and Mark in the studio on the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. And I do want to let you know, it was Bitcoin that really kind of put these markets on the map, because Bitcoin, while it's not anonymous, could be used if you, put it through a mixer or whatever. Supposedly that helps. I don't know if it really does, because I think the people that really know their stuff with Bitcoin could probably still follow Bitcoin through a mixer. But there are these things called Bitcoin mixers out there, and some people will use those before sending Bitcoin to one of these darknet marketplaces. And it was Bitcoin that really kind of really got, I think, a lot of publicity from the Silk Road back in the day. It wasn't good publicity, but it was publicity nonetheless. It was the Silk Road back in 2011 that really started to hit the news, and that's one of the reasons why Bitcoin came onto a lot of people's radars. And, of course, Bitcoin's still there because it's just money. It's just like cash. Cash can be used for illegal purposes, and so can cryptocurrencies. If you want to learn more about Bitcoin, you want to get started with it, you can go to bitcoin.com. It's a great site to kind of get the basics for Bitcoin. And if you want to take the next step with Bitcoin, you can become a Bitcoin miner. Now, normally this is a complicated technical process, but you can actually avoid all of that complication by just having somebody else do it for you and essentially paying for the equipment. So what you do is you go to pool.bitcoin.com and you can get signed up there. And Mark, you and I are both doing this over at pool.bitcoin.com.
Yep.
They've got a 100% uptime guarantee. You don't have to worry about the ongoing equipment upgrades, any kind of maintenance, or any of the technical side of things. You just put some money down for it, and then hopefully you're going to make some money in the long run. And there's even a calculator there that will show you likely what you will be making. You can go to pool.bitcoin.com and get started there. If you are the technical type and you do know how to do some Bitcoin mining, Johnny Ray, I know you've done some Bitcoin mining at some point in the past. So if you've got the equipment, you can join their pool remotely, and then they will pay you out more than I think it's 110% of the mining reward. So there's two different ways to join. You can just kind of have them take care of it for you, or if you really know your stuff and you can do it on your own, then you can join their pool. And in that way, you're not only creating Bitcoin and making Bitcoin, but you're also doing activism while you sleep, because you're helping steer Bitcoin towards the liberating currency that its founder, Satoshi Nakamoto, meant it to be. That's pool.bitcoin.com. So Thursday, Europol and the U.S. Department of Justice jointly announced the fruits of the largest ever sting operation against the dark web's black markets, including the seizure of Alphabay, a market Europol estimates generated more than $1 billion in sales of drugs, stolen data, and other illegal goods over its 3 years online. 3 years is a long run for one of these websites, by the way. While Alphabay's closure had previously been reported as an FBI operation, the agency has now confirmed that takedown, while Europol also revealed details of its tightly coordinated Hansa takeover. So Hansa is a competitor was a competitor of Alphabay. Hansa was also shuttered as of Thursday. The dark web looks substantially diminished from just a few short weeks ago, and its denizens are shaken by law enforcement's deep intrusion into their underground economy. Attorney General Jeff Sessions said in a press conference Thursday morning, quote, "This is likely one of the most important criminal cases of the year. Make no mistake, the forces of law and justice face a new challenge from the criminals and transnational criminal organizations who think they can commit their crimes with impunity by going dark." This case, pursued by dedicated agents and prosecutors, says you are not safe. You cannot hide. We will find you, dismantle your organization and network, and we will prosecute you. Now, this is the same tough talk that they put out in their press release after they busted the Silk Road, almost 4 years ago.
This is the same tough talk that's just modified slightly from when they, take down a group of 17-year-olds on bicycles with bags of weed. I mean, whatever. It's the same thing over and over again. Canned bullcrap. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's a war on drugs, you've been financing it and losing it for decades.
They sure have.
Are drugs now not being done? Is a smaller percentage of people...
No, I think people would tell you that there's the heroin epidemic in a lot of places in the United States. A lot of people are well aware of the problems of drugs.
Apparently, whatever's been done up to this point has been a failure.
Yep. Well, of course. I mean, they can't possibly stop supply and demand. You can make the death penalty for dealing drugs, but then that just means you're going to have the baddest ass bikers who are willing to, risk death dealing drugs. There's still going to be people willing to buy it, and that just means they're going to be more expensive, and that means people are going to have to commit more crimes in order to, get the money that they need for their habit. So no amount of crackdowns, no amount of punitive sentencing and tough talk is going to end the desire for people to alter their states of consciousness. That's what drives all this, is the fact that humans like that. And most of the cops should understand that because most of them are heavy drinkers anyway. So they know what it's like to, alter their state of consciousness. It's just that some of those altered states of consciousness are illegal and others aren't. And, of course, alcohol is the most dangerous of all of those drugs, but yet it's completely legal. Now, the solution isn't to make alcohol illegal. The solution is to make any drug legal so anybody can buy it over the counter without having to beg a doctor's permission to do so, and let the market decide and let people who need help actually go and get it, because many of them are afraid to get help because they're worried they're going to get turned in. They're worried they're going to get arrested if they try to get some help. Anyway, so tough talk from Jeff Sessions, which also backs up that quote that you were reading earlier, Johnny Ray, by the new
Andrew McCabe, FBI director.
Was he a sitting director or a temporary or whatever? Or was he announced as the new guy?
In the article, it said that he was the FBI director.
Okay, so he's the new guy.
At the Thursday press conference.
So what Sessions says here makes it sound like what I was suggesting about McCabe. What he was saying was true, that they believe that there is a dark, shadowy organization. Sessions says here, the forces of law and justice face a new challenge from the criminals and transnational criminal organizations who think they can commit their crimes with impunity by going dark. So what he's suggesting there is these are the same, that he believes that these darknet marketplaces are indeed run by the very same criminal organizations that are notoriously, the Zetas in Mexico, the drug mules and gangs and these organizations.
I suspect this isn't true. Because
it could be true, but there's no evidence for that claim.
Right.
It's just a bunch of computer geeks that have been getting busted.
A bunch of big-time drug dealers have decided to give up drug dealing and
turn into programmers.
Turn into computer programmers and run websites which do nothing but allow small-time drug dealers
to compete,
to send drugs to street-level buyers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. It just doesn't sound very likely.
No, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, the existing drug criminal organizations are violent, old-school dealers. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if they were putting some money into, trying to sell on the dark net, but and maybe they do have the, they certainly have the money to hire programmers to put together a website, but your average, thug in a drug gang is not going to have the computer chops likely to, do this kind of business. And if there were, connections to the longtime drug gangs, don't you think they'd be trumpeting that? I mean, if they took down Silk Road and 3 out of the 5 or 1 out of the 5 admins or whatever turned out they were actually a member of El Chapo's gang in Mexico and Central America, that they would have been touting that. Oh yeah, here's all his emails between him and El Chapo. Yeah. Look, we've really taken a stab into the heart of these drug organizations. They're just geeks. These guys are programmers. They're people who have college degrees and stuff.
I wish every time we had some minor victory in the course of our jobs, we got to make outlandish, stupid lies that people would believe.
Like that we've defeated Rush Limbaugh or something?
Yeah, we're the 29th most popular radio program in America, and we've got billions of dollars.
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy. Fees are low and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Dash is set up to succeed where other platforms have failed. Give it a try. Dash.org. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at Dash.org.
I've discovered the next big thing on the internet. Symbi.com is a symbiotic economy with its own currency where people trade services virtually and locally. Forget the old economy. This is your economy. Symbi.com is slick to use and is backed by the same people that helped launch Reddit and Airbnb. I'm not kidding when I say this is the next big thing. Trust me. Go get an account at Symbi.com. Take a look around and post your services. Symbi, Simbi.com.
BuySellMakeOffer.com is better than ever. I'm Pat Matthews here to tell you that BuySellMakeOffer.com, the revolutionary site for buying and selling anything and everything, just upped the ante. Go right now to BuySellMakeOffer.com and click the Sign Me Up button. When you do, you'll get the first month free, and then it's just $9.95 a month to be a member forever. And you don't need a credit card for the initial setup. Create your own store on the site and sell whatever you want as long as it's legal, however you want, and sell an unlimited number of items. Create your own intro video to describe what your store is all about. Use Skype to see who you're buying from or selling to. Sell unused household items, as well as antiques, cars, televisions, collectibles, real estate. The possibilities are unlimited. Use social networks to promote your store right from our site. Remember, there are never any fees no matter how much you sell. Become a member today. I'm a member. Get all your friends to sign up too. This could become a great business for you. Sell whatever you want for the first 30 days free at BuySellMakeOffer.com.
Flash flood warning is in effect, and authorities are asking people to stay indoors and avoid the roads.
We are urging everyone to seek shelter. Remember, being carried away by this storm is very different from the joy of being carried by Bogdan and seeing for miles from his shoulders.
The typhoon is predicted to hit the South Carolina coast the hardest. Chad Williams is live on the scene now. The wind looks pretty strong out there, Chad.
Barely. But it is nothing compared to Bogdan.
So people in South Carolina aren't worried?
No, they laugh at the storm. They are piling sandbags to stop the water. Would mere sand stop Bogdan?
But there is real danger. Authorities say that 3 people were killed outside of Charleston when their car was washed into a ravine.
And in that we have proof. The storm has failed the true test of strength. Bogdan's greatest power is his gentle heart. Bogdan would never hurl a car full of people into a ravine.
So from what you're seeing out there, real strength lies within?
Yes. This storm, like all else, is weaker than Bogdan.
This is the Onion News Network.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in 1 application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. We're talking about Darknet marketplaces, one of the most fascinating developments from the internet, I would say, in the last decade. With you in the studio here tonight, you've got Ian,
Johnny Ray,
and Mark.
And you can join us on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. Don't forget, you can also join us on our website over at freetalklive.com. We've got a webcam. You can watch, you can listen all at the same time. We've got a chat room built into the same page as the cams. You can have a chat there with other listeners live. And go to cam.freetalklive.com to see that during our live show, which happens every day, 7 to 10 at night Eastern Time. Those are our live hours. Outside of those live hours, you can always go grab the latest episodes on our YouTube channel at youtube.freetalklive.com.
Yeah, Free Talk Live is one of the very few radio programs, commercial radio programs in America that you can get 7 days a week. We provide it to you live, and that's a hell of an accomplishment. Also, I believe that I'm going to win the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu national white belt nationals this year.
That's okay. That's a pretty brazen claim.
Well, so are these stupid claims we're getting from this news story. Okay, apparently, if you have some small success, like being able to pull off a radio program 7 days a week, you can just say dumb, outlandish things that are completely untrue, and people will believe you. I'm presuming people believe this news story.
Murray Rothbard, I think, that great old libertarian, said that states will always seek to maintain command points in the economy, like the state troopers on the highway, for example, or the border checkpoints, the border crossings. And the trade in drugs and alcohol is an incredibly powerful thing because
people want that stuff.
People's demand for it is relatively inelastic, regardless of what the price is. Oftentimes, they're going to pay whatever. It's one of the reasons there's always such high taxes on cigarettes and alcohol.
Yeah, because they can get away with it.
Yeah, because they can get away with it. And their control, the extent to which they've got the drug trade clamped down is a command point in the U.S. economy, and it's profitable to them somehow. Either it's police officers taking bribes or people much higher up the chain of command who were taking bribes.
Sure, we saw the Silk Road. There were 2 cops, one Secret Service agent, one DEA agent who went down for corruption. They were trying to not just take bribes, but that actively offer themselves to the administrators of the Silk Road, giving them information in return for money about investigations that might have been pending.
And when you have darknet markets where little small fries can connect with other small fries
or big fries, there are bulk offers on darknet marketplaces. It's not the majority. It's probably not even a very large minority. But if you want to buy in bulk, you can do that there. You can essentially jump up the chain. So the traditional drug dealing in real life chain, you start at the street level, and then over time you might be able to work your way up and meet dealers who might be able to give you better supply and more reliable
Pretty
supply.
Soon you aren't doing the difficult work of day-to-day sales. You're doing week-to-week sales
or whatever, or you're only doing larger sales or whatever. But you had to sort of you had to be careful about how you would move up the chain, right? Like you wouldn't want to
end up dead.
Yeah, you don't want to cross the wrong people because everybody knows who everybody is in that business. But in the darknet marketplaces, nobody knows who anybody is. Now, Ross Ulbricht at the Silk Road knew who his admins were, but that's because he required them to send him a picture of their driver's license.
Wow.
So, but generally, the people on the darknet marketplaces, many even the admins themselves, don't even know who one another are. And so, it's just not even the same story. So anybody who wants to can buy and sell at whatever level they can afford. So if you were a small level street dealer who couldn't get your leg up to the next level on the streets, well, now all of a sudden you've got new connections in the global marketplace. Instead of it's just Tommy and Billy, the 2 dealers that happen to live in the same region as you that you happen to know and you're buying things from as a dealer. Now you've got 70 different people around the entire world who are willing to sell you not only the same drugs but better quality drugs. Almost a guarantee that I bet you 9 out of 10. Now this is just pure speculation. 9 out of 10 drugs that you buy, if you buy from this, if you were to buy a drug from the street and you were to buy the same drug from the darknet marketplace, 9 out of 10 times the darknet markets are going to be the purest, best form of that. That might even be 10 out of 10 times going to be the purest, best form of that drug, because street dealers are not known for being particularly honest. They're not known for being particularly, scrupulous in how they do their business.
Sure.
So they frequently are cutting the product.
If they've got a kilo of cocaine, I'm just picking a drug here, and they are going to sell that out at individual levels, they can sell it out at grams, completely pure, and have 1,000 grams, so they can cut it down into halves, make it half as pure and sell 2,000 grams and make twice as much money.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, ladies and
How it
gentlemen,
works.
you should not come to me on how pure your cocaine should be. I have no idea. Research that at arrowwood.org. Arrowwood.org. But I'm just saying that cutting the local dealer, which is how things were done up until the point of darknets, drug situations. Well, now they're in competition, and frankly, when you're talking about that darknet, you're liable to see fewer overdoses because people are getting a consistent product. They know what they're getting, and they're providing feedback to the people who are selling it.
And it's not cut with any weird crap if you're getting some, pure product from the Darknet, because a lot of the problems with some of this other stuff has been what it has been cut with. Was it oh God, I don't remember the name of it, but there was like some sort of horrifying thing that I don't remember if it was heroin or whatever, but it was making headlines because it was causing people's skin to like rot off. I forget. I'm sorry.
Crocodile.
No, that's different.
Okay.
That's something different. Crocodile was like a cheap man's concoction from household chemicals that they could get high on. But there was something thiamamosol or something. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Whatever.
There's somebody out there screaming at their radio right now. Whatever
it doesn't
was,
matter what the product is. The fact is,
Coke users were getting messed up because of the stuff that it was getting cut with when this was happening. This was within the last decade. So, yeah, people are safer because of these darknet marketplaces. And the federal government, by taking them down, thinking that they're somehow damaging the traditional drug networks. No, these are completely new drug networks. These are new connections being made anonymously where people's reputation is still there, but it's based on a handle. Somebody comes up with a name for themselves, they put it into this system, and then they start getting ratings when they do good work, and then more people buy from them. They're not connected necessarily to, I mean, maybe some of them are, but the people running these marketplaces, when you look at their profiles as far as when they get busted, it's almost always some, white college-educated male who's behind these sites. It's almost always some dorky computer programming nerd.
But Jeff Sessions thinks that apparently Las Zetas and whatever international drug cartels are being run by
ridiculous
white college dorky nerds.
Yeah. Let's go to Gary in North Carolina. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Gary.
Yeah, Mark, I heard y'all talking about trying to undo your citizenship, and I think I got your answer to that.
I'd like to hear about it. So we did talk about this, I believe it was last night, and we talked to a man. Do you remember the guy's name, Ian, the stateless man who was attempting to get rid of all citizenship, but couldn't do it because the U.S. He was a U.S. citizen.
Michael somebody.
Yeah, Grinsky?
No.
Okay. Anyway, he was attempting to get rid of his U.S. citizenship, and he was like over in like Prague or something.
Yeah.
But he couldn't get rid of it because the State Department demanded that he have a new citizenship in order to get rid of his old one. Go ahead.
Well,
Gogolski.
That's it.
All of this started, it was all carefully conspired at the end of the Civil War. And it starts there. Whoever did this, there's books about it.
You're talking about the 14th Amendment?
Yep. And but the bottom line is, on your passport, if you will look very carefully, there's a box that says to check this box, and you become no longer a citizen who has civil rights, and you become a U.S. national who then is protected by your constitutional rights. It changes your status.
I've got a passport. I've had a passport for 20 years.
Look at it.
Believe me, I've looked every page. When you're sitting there in customs, you got nothing better to do. I've never seen this.
Big bold letters.
You're talking about the application? Are you talking about the application or the passport?
Yep. No, the application.
Talking about the application.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we actually had Christopher Gronsky on about this. If you want to hang on, Gary, we can talk a little bit about it here in moments, because ultimately, whether or not you get a passport, the U.S. government is going to consider you one of their citizens. That, to me, is not going to be a requirement. But we'll continue here. 855-450, free like freedom. This is Free Talk Live. Have you wanted to get into Bitcoin mining but don't want to deal with the hassle and frustration of operating the mining hardware? Let pool.bitcoin.com handle it for you like I did. For an investment of as low as $129, you can have a lifetime mining contract and support the Bitcoin network. If you already have mining equipment, you're invited to join pool.bitcoin.com. It's the most profitable pool for miners, paying 120% of the block reward. That's pool.bitcoin.com.
When I get to about 3/4, when I get down to the bottom, a couple more scoops, it's time to place my order. Dinovite.com.
Order a 90-day supply of Dinovite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a bottle of NomoFlea free.
NomoFlea flea spray kills fleas safely with no poison.
Because it's a polypeptide protein molecule made from
vegetable oil.
Try NomoFlea.
Free this week at Dinovite.com.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dinovite. DINOVITE.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, July 23rd, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.49 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,255 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 3.8 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,751. AntiWar.com reports this time last week the Russia sanctions bill was floundering in the House with efforts by the Republican leadership to tack on sanctions against North Korea, complicating matters. On Saturday, House Democrats say a deal has been reached on the matter. Representative Steny Hoyer of Maryland reported that the deal will allow for sweeping sanctions against Russia and will also include sanctions against both North Korea and Iran. Officials express hope that the deal will be finalized before the August recess. The key aspect of the bill is that it will dramatically limit the ability of President Trump to ease sanctions on Russia without congressional permission. The exact scope of the new sanctions aren't clear, and in particular, there's been question about the Senate supporting the North Korea sanctions in their version of the bill. The limits on easing sanctions are something that the Republicans initially sought to impose related to the P5+1 Iran nuclear deal as a way to try to undermine the pact. The Democrats, however, wanted it for Russia, believing President Trump to be conspiring to ease sanctions on them, despite him having made no move to do so in the last 6 months. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports the Republican-led efforts to overhaul healthcare incurred a potentially significant roadblock when the Senate parliamentarian said several provisions key to winning conservative votes would require 60 votes to pass rather than 51. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky chose to undertake healthcare reform using a process known as reconciliation. The procedural tactic was first introduced as a means for legislators to quickly alter budget-related legislation. In order to help quicken the process, legislation being considered under reconciliation is not subject to filibuster. The caveat is that the legislation must relate strictly to matters affecting the federal budget. Legislation dealing with policy rather than the nation's pocketbook is not eligible to be considered under reconciliation rules. The Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough acts as the referee to determine whether legislation meets the reconciliation requirements. She offered initial guidance that several key parts of the GOP plan were outside of the bounds of reconciliation and would be subject to the 60-vote threshold necessary for ending a filibuster. Specifically, she said GOP plans to cut all federal funding for Planned Parenthood and outlaw government-subsidized health insurance plans that pay for abortion were policy-focused rather than budget-focused and would not be subject to reconciliation. The parliamentarian's ruling could be moot anyway if the Republicans can't muster the 51 votes necessary to begin formal debate on the legislation. With a slim 52-48 majority and all Democrats expected to vote no, Republicans can afford to lose only 2 votes and still proceed, with Vice President Mike Pence breaking a 50-50 tie. As of last week, at least 4 GOP senators had publicly stated their opposition to the bill. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports St. Louis will install temporary air conditioners in a city jail known as the Workhouse after temperatures in the city topped 100 degrees Fahrenheit, triggering protest outside the lockup, according to local media reports on Saturday. Police used pepper spray to disperse about 150 demonstrators outside the city's medium security institution, protesting the sweltering conditions in which inmates were being held. Karan Ado, a spokesman for the mayor, said in an email on Saturday to provide relief, the city will install temporary AC units starting as early as Monday. St. Louis voters in 2015 rejected a bond measure that would have paid for more air conditioning in the jail and other public work projects. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Clark County paramedics responded to a frantic 911 call from a nearby motel this morning, where the Lord our God, divine creator and ruler of the universe, had been found nude and unconscious following his latest suicide attempt. God, whose sources say had recently grown far more depressed and withdrawn from humanity than usual, reportedly attempted to hang himself from the base of his motel showerhead after ingesting an unknown quantity of Ambien. Motel sources claim that God's room had been left in a state of disarray, and revealed that they had found a brief note written by the omnipotent deity, saying that the suicide stems from long periods of unhappiness he had been suffering in recent millennia, including the death of his only child, thousands of years of war and genocide, chronic weight gain, and the aftermath of his messy 15,088 BC divorce. Paramedics say the Supreme Being had no pulse when they arrived. The Lord's overdose comes in the wake of several widely publicized previous suicide attempts, including a 1985 incident when the Lord leapt from the Grand Canyon but changed into a bird at the last second and flew to safety.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, the live Sunday edition of the program. We got more to say coming up here on the Darknet Market Takedown, the latest takedowns that have just gone down over the last week or two. With you tonight, it's Ian,
Johnny Ray,
and Mark.
We're going to go back to your phone calls and thoughts. We have Gary still on the line with us in North Carolina. Gary, we were talking about the passport and how you believe that it's the passport application that opts people into the U.S. citizenship, but it would seem to me that the government in the United States is going to consider you a citizen whether or not you apply for their passport. So what were you trying to say there?
All right, let me clarify. It's actually the birth certificate is what you volunteer yourself in with, but you opt yourself out by doing two things. You take an affidavit, which is the king of all law documents. You have to submit it to the head of the person who does all the, and I can't get internet right now. My internet's out, so I'm on my cell phone doing this, so I can't look up the thing the person I'm trying to tell you. If you submit an affidavit along with the application saying that you want to be a U.S. national, when you check that box, so if you look at that thing, there's a box right there that says real careful in big letters, like scares you if you check that box that you're doing something wrong. But that's what you want to check, is the U.S. national, to become a U.S. national, not a U.S. citizen, and submit the affidavit, because if they reply to the affidavit, they admit guilt.
If they reply to the affidavit, why would they reply to it?
Because they're telling you, no, you can't do that. You can't be a U.S. national with constitutional rights.
So a bunch of people have theories about this. We had Chris Gronsky on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he had talked about this. His version of it says that there are different definitions of U.S. citizen, and that there are like three different court-recognized definitions of U.S. citizen, one of them being like the citizen of the United States government. Okay. The other one being you're the citizen of the state in which that you live, and that you're recognized as a U.S. citizen, and that confers a different set of value to you in some way, or allows you to opt out of some federal stuff. But the idea that he had said was that you need to send the passport form in with an affidavit that says that you are this specific type, that yes, you're this U.S. citizen, but you're not their U.S. citizen, you're the state citizen type, but you're saying you need to do a national. So everybody's got different ideas. Have you actually done this, Gary?
Yeah, well, not me, but there was a radio show from a guy who is elected, was a lawyer, and they debated about this. The radio show was about this. It just went off the air.
Why haven't you done it?
What am I going to gain from it? I'm poor. I'm not rich. I have nothing to. If I had money, I'd do it because I would want my freedom like those cats from the UN got. They go around New York, can't be touched.
You really think that if you fill out the passport application in the way that you are saying to fill it out, that will result in you being free?
No. And see, the guy who has the book, he's got a book detailing all this out.
I'm sure he does. And Chris Gronsky will charge you, several $100s to walk you through the process.
It's free. The book's free.
Oh, really?
Ebook. Yeah, and he said the whole thing about this. The whole deal is the freedom is knowledge.
What I want to know is, I want to hear from people who've actually done it. I mean, we get a lot of people who call in with these theories, but almost every time I ask the question, none of them have done the theory that they are advocating. Thank you, Gary, for the call tonight. Let us know if that changes. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We just had a guy in town recently. I'm not going to name his name, but he's been going off online about how, New Hampshire, we're not free enough and we're never going to be free. And so he's like giving up on the migration of people here. Well, guess what? He's also one of those courtroom theorists. And he was arrested here for something and ended up going to the arraignment, which I video recorded. And, he tried a little bit of his courtroom theory at the arraignment, but of course you never have time to do anything in an arraignment. They're relatively quick, and there was a little bit of back and forth between him and the judge, and there was a date scheduled for the trial, and, that was the end of that. Well, guess what? He failed to appear at the next court date. So rather than go and, put his courtroom theories into effect and get it on video, he failed to appear. So we couldn't go and get that on video. And then he ended up getting arrested for failure to appear. And now, he's talking about leaving the state. So once again, he's the second person to come here who has claimed to be somebody who knows a thing or two about these courtroom theories, who has ended up leaving. Another one came years ago, and he talked a big game about how he knows how to put these judges in their place in the courtroom. But then he moved, the first guy moved into the middle of nowhere for several months, and then one day left a Porcupine 411 message saying, "Oh yeah, I'm leaving New Hampshire. If anybody wants to learn my courtroom secrets, give me a call and I'll meet with you before I leave." And then he was gone. So, all these gurus, these courtroom secrets people or whatever, these theorists, they almost never have any kind of real proof for what they're advocating. Almost never. The only person who's ever done it that I can really in a way that really was well researched, because I tried some of this stuff a decade ago and ended up getting contempt of court charges for it. But of course the claim is always, oh well, you didn't do it right. Yeah. You didn't follow this guru's path or this guru's path, or you tried but you didn't follow it correctly. And so the guy Dick Marple, the state representative here in New Hampshire, he's the only guy who I've ever seen go into a courtroom on video and really assert himself in a way that I've never seen done in a court before. Now, the question...
You did that recently, right?
Within the last year, yeah. And there's video of it, so search Dick Marple on YouTube, and you'll find him yelling at a judge and getting away with it, standing behind the bar and never crossing it. But yet they still convicted him, after the fact.
I talked to him at the NHLA, the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance thing, and he seemed to think that he had some level of success.
Well, he is filing papers now with, I think, the Secretary of State or something like that. He's trying to go after the judge in that particular case, but he'll not appeal because that would be consenting to their jurisdiction, basically. So he's trying some other kind of administrative remedy for this, and he has forwarded me some of those emails, but it's just so I don't know what the right word is, complicated.
It sounds like the ramblings of a madman.
It's hard to follow it. Yeah, it's hard to follow it. It's hard to, it's always a long thing that I'm like, oh my God, I don't have time, I don't have time to read this thing.
And what I always wonder to myself is whether these judges, when these things are successful, because I've seen stuff on YouTube that looks like there's some level of success that's been had, whether it's just the judges going, what? This is for how much? $150 for a
what
expired
are we doing
whatever?
Here?
No, I'm not going to deal with this. Dismissed. Bring in the next cash cow.
Right, bring in someone who'll pay us.
This lunatic out of here.
Right.
And
so there's never any consistency to the success stories, if there are any success stories, and it's very, very hard to find the success stories. So color me skeptical about this. I mean, I love the idea. I like the idea of, and at least with Chris Gronsky, he'll tell you, look, this isn't going to save you from tyranny. This is just you putting on the record that you are one type of citizen, a state citizen, versus this national citizen thing. Not that that's going to result in them leaving you alone or anything like that, but if it did come down to it in court, they wouldn't be able to claim that you were one of their citizens because you made it clear in this filing that you were a state citizen. And to him, that's meaningful. And that's important. And I get that. And that's an interesting theory. And at the very least, he'll admit to you, like, this ain't your ticket to freedom. Mm-hmm. This is just a filing that you could, in theory, point to in a courtroom when they bring up the claim that you're a citizen. You can say, well, look, here's my filing from the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
This is the kind of citizen I am. They accepted this filing. They issued me the passport. So here's all the proof. And I think that's kind of neat. Not sure I'm willing to pay $700 to have it done, though. 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. We got more on the Darknet marketplaces coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin, but imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
And membership is only $9.95.
Yep. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, Sunday edition. We're here live. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us on the radio, is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype. So Skype on in here at Skype username LRN.FM. Tonight, it's Ian,
Jonny Ray,
and Mark. The internet has allowed for an incredible amount of innovations in the area of clothing and backpacks. You see all kinds of ads for new or imagined products that propose to solve different problems, some of them minor, some of them life-saving. But do they stop bullets? I recently got a vest from bulletblocker.com. Now, this is a company founded by a former Army Ranger and a firearms instructor with the goal of making backpacks for kids to protect them in case of a school shooting. Now they have a huge selection of clothing, backpacks, and briefcases that could save your life. These products are attractive, well-made, right here in the United States, and you've got to have a nice jacket, so you might as well have a nice jacket that stops bullets, too. Get something for the family. This isn't the kind of thing that you get a second chance at. BulletBlocker.com. If the lives in your family are priceless, protect them at BulletBlocker.com.
All right, let's go to your calls and thoughts more on Darknet market takedowns. Pretty big takedown happened twice, actually, over the last couple of weeks. We'll tell you more about that. But first, we go to Scott in Massachusetts. He's a bigot. Scott, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Ian, Mark, and Jonny Ray. How are you?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight, Scott?
You know, I look at America today, what's going on with the health care bill and politicians are scum. All right?
Let's one of the few things we agree on.
They are scum, and police are scum, too. But what I'm getting at is this. When you've got hardworking Americans and they work a job or multiple jobs to support a family, 50% of the people don't pay taxes. You've got these scummy politicians that won't do anything, give us health care, won't fix our infrastructure. The point I'm making tonight is this. I'm hoping that one day America will really get its comeuppance. And what I'm referring to is another 9/11. It could happen inside. It could happen through the outside.
Well, man, you always catch
America,
me just
it's
a
sad
flat-footed.
because there are good people in this country. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
There are
good
people.
in the country, sure.
But this country is run by such trash that do not have our interests at heart. Maybe if there was another 9/11.
You mean like those white Christian politicians, those white male Christian politicians?
I don't see any politicians anywhere coming out doing anything for anyone.
Okay.
I do have to be honest with you.
I think they're
do
scum.
see a Jewish influence in America, a Zionist-occupied government, if you will. And for your listeners who do not understand what I am saying, I'm referring specifically, for example, to AIPAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee.
Wait a second, Scott. So you were hoping for a new 9/11 to, I think, straighten out Americans. And let me ask you this. Now, some people have speculated that 9/11 was committed by Israel.
That's right.
Are you of that opinion?
I've listened to Alex Jones, and he believes it's an inside job. I'm not disputing that. It's very well possible. I can't confirm it. I have no proof.
Okay, so you don't have any opinion about that.
I have an opinion in the sense that it could have been instigated by the Zionists to lure America into the Middle East and get us into the Middle East where we have a permanent presence in the Middle East, and that's what the Zionists want. They want American soldiers there at all times to protect Israel in case of invasion. They do not care how many American soldiers get killed. They don't give a damn about America.
Do you really think Israel needs, the average Israeli, in fact, wants American protection? It seems like if there's a military in the Middle East that's capable of protecting Israel, it's the Israeli military. I mean, they're really pretty impressive as far as technology, training, and all those other things. I think that in many cases, Israelis probably feel like relationship with the United States just holds them back from doing what it is that they would like to do.
No, they want American protection in the case, for example, like Iran. And Iran is no threat to America. It's only a threat to America because we went in there and propped up the Shah in 1954, put him into power, where he took billions of our dollars with his evil Savak, butchered his own people, terrorized his own people.
Yeah,
all we ever wanted from Iran was the rich oil reserves. The Iranians have every reason to hate the United States. The mullahs in Iran have every reason to hate Israel, which is the little Satan, and America, which is the big Satan.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that part. I mean,
well, I have no idea who Satan is, but if those mullahs are upset, I can see why.
But with the CIA meddling,
yeah, I can see why they would be upset with that kind of meddling. I recommend an apology and a withdrawal from United States military interests in the Middle East.
Absolutely. Scott, thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate it. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. And I don't blame a group of people based on their religious or ethnic origins. If you want to blame somebody, blame. I think he was right on in the very beginning of his call. The politicians are the problem. These are men and women in search of power over other human beings, and that's where all of these problems come from. It comes from the humans' desire to control others. And, that desire to control others spreads across all of humanity, from what I can tell, not just, Jews or whites or blacks or, Asians or whoever. There are people in search of power within all of those divisions, if you will. It's a problem with humanity. And until humans reject that desire in large numbers, we're never going to see an end to the state.
Until the power of love overcomes the love of power. Men can't be free.
Who said that?
It's a Jimi Hendrix quote or something like that.
Hendrix?
I could look it up.
Wow, I don't know about that, but that's a good one. I would love to find out who that one was. Let's go to Art. He's in Albuquerque listening to Kiva. Hey, Art.
Yeah, I'm actually calling. I'm leaving Albuquerque, heading west towards Gallup, and I was interested why you're only discussing the New Hampshire about this citizen thing. The Bundys out in Oregon declared themselves sovereign citizens, and that Ryan Bundy had defended himself in court, and they actually beat the government on all those weapons charges and all those charges that they had. And
we reported on that. We reported on that when they won that court case.
I guess I just tuned in and just heard the Vermont discussion.
Well, no, I know we didn't report on that tonight. I mean, that's an old case at this point. They won that last year or something like that. That
was pretty impressive how they defended themselves.
I didn't know they considered themselves sovereign citizens. That was a term that I did not hear related to those folks because you can't be a sovereign citizen. There's no such thing.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what they called themselves. They carried the copy of the Constitution.
Some
in their
people do
pocket.
call themselves that. I mean, that's true.
Oh, that's true.
But,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make any sense to me because you can't be a sovereign and a citizen. You cannot be both the king and a citizen, at the same
And a
time.
subject.
So you can be a sovereign, which means that you are your own king over your own, property, which I support that. Or you can be a citizen, which means that you are, you owe a duty of allegiance in return for an obligation of protection. And as we, discussed last night, the government has no obligation to protect you since they've ruled that multiple times in their own Supreme Court. So therefore, you couldn't even possibly be a citizen, let alone a sovereign citizen, because it's a contradiction.
Yeah, I'd have to reread what they that article.
Art, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, we'll continue. More with the Darknet Marketplace Crackdown in moments.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Ralph, remember when you said you were going to start paying more attention to your health and now you're eating potato chips?
Just a few.
A few, okay, but you should be eating Superberry's Aronia berries.
Aroni what?
Aronia berries from superberries.com. They're known for having one of the highest levels of antioxidants that helps with overall wellness. Go to superberries.com/radio. And right now we get a free smoothie recipe book with our order. Plus we can save $4 at checkout.
Wow, look at all the benefits of these berries.
I know, Ralph, I know.
Choose health. Eat purple. Superberries.com.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit shiresociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at shiresociety.com. That's shiresociety.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and we will continue the discussion about the Darknet marketplace crackdown that happened within the last couple of weeks here. Pretty big news, and it deserves some more discussion. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian. Oh, Johnny, I'm sorry, try that again.
Ian, Johnny Ray.
And Mark.
And you can
give my name too, Johnny.
You can join us here at 855-450 free like freedom, 855-450-3733, and you can Skype on in here at Skype username lrn.fm. And I apologize to Hung Like Jesus sent a message of something I should have asked Scott while he was on the line, and I didn't see it until just now. So while we will see your messages you send us on Skype, you
may not see them in a timely fashion. Yeah.
Right. So Skype on in and add to the conversation at username lrn.fm. As we continue here, Mark, tell me about hope.freetalklive.com. What's going on over there?
I will just as soon as I clear up this love of power of love
the quote
statement. Yep.
that you attributed to Jimi Hendrix.
In the Forbes Book of Business Quotations, 1997, edited by Edward C. Goodman and Ted Goodman. I don't know if they're related. Page 639, a similar statement has been attributed to William Ewart Gladstone and was also cited in the National Elementary School Principle, Volume 28, published in 1948. We look forward to a time when the power of love will replace the love of power. Then our world will know the blessings of peace. A similar statement was also attributed to Jimi Hendrix, though he could have been quoting or paraphrasing Sri Chinmoy, whom they're crediting this statement to, or conceivably Gladstone. When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. It's a nice paraphrase of it and really sort of shrinks it down rather than attributing godhood to man or adding a bunch of flowery language around peace. It's just nice and solid there.
All right, excellent.
And it's in the name of peace and brotherly love that we are helping to build an orphanage over in Jinja, Uganda. And the intention is to give about 45 orphans who currently are sleeping in a dark room with no power on, an earthen floor, head to toe.
Can you imagine that?
I can't. It's very difficult to imagine.
You've been in prison and it wasn't even that bad.
It was certainly not a U.S. prison. There are prisons that are that bad, but not U.S. prisons generally that are that bad.
Yeah, don't end up in prison in the Philippines. You're going to have a really bad time.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine, especially hard for me to imagine this day in and day out. It's one thing if you're talking about a few days during a disaster that they're in a situation like this, but day in and day out in a situation like that, no, I can't. So what we want to do is we want to help provide a bed.
What you're doing.
Yeah.
That's happening.
Yeah, well, the building's going up.
Yeah.
I'd like it to go up a little bit faster.
Halfway there, right? Halfway.
And I need your help to make that happen.
First story's done.
Yep, first story's done. They're working on the roof, the floor of the second story, and getting ready to put the roof on for the second story. And then there will be, basically the bones of it will be complete, and and then we'll be finishing up. But nonetheless, I do need some help. Go to hope.freetalklive.com if you want 45 orphans who have been through terrible situations, wars, AIDS,
parents murdered,
parents murdered, all kinds of terrible things happening over there in Uganda. And all we want to do is provide them with a place to take a shower, have a soft bed, be able to put their stuff up, like a Foot Locker, wash their face to go to school, that kind of thing. Just go there to hope.freetalklive.com. There's all kinds of ways to donate, including cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dash, that kind of thing.
And your donation will be tripled. Basically, through a double matching fund provided by our generous donors, GetSell411.com and Jax.io.
That's right. So there you go. If you donate $10, it'll be $30. You donate $30, it'll be $90. You donate $100, it'll be $300.
Amazing. And it's over at hope.freetalklive.com.
Mark, I want you to know that I donated.
Did you?
I did. Yep. I've been meaning to become an amplifier for a long time, and that is still something that I have not followed through on.
Well,
but
you're here every Sunday night, Johnny Ray, and that is good enough.
Okay,
as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you for saying that.
I appreciate you being here and bringing your unique perspective to the table to discuss as we continue with the Darknet marketplaces. The big crackdown that has happened here in the last couple of weeks, with a really nasty twist revealed just recently, where they took down the Alphabay site, the #1 Darknet marketplace, which, for those just tuning in, that's an underground market on the internet where things like drugs and sometimes weapons and other things that might be illegal or sometimes legal are sold. And they've been taking these things down over the years, but Alphabay was the most recent takedown. But it turned out they'd also infiltrated the Hansa marketplace, which was one of the main competitors to Alphabay. So when Alphabay was taken down, the users who were jumping ship and trying to find a new marketplace that went over to Hansa got all their information logged. So, I mean, obviously the people on these marketplaces are using fake usernames and everything like that. So there's probably very little information the feds could get out of that data. But nonetheless, they're still interested in having that data for whatever their purposes. And they got it. Then they shut down the Hansa market after that. And, of course, they're touting how big and tough they are and that they're going to stop the Darknet markets. And sorry, you're not going to stop the Darknet markets.
Well, if you're Europol or whatever, and you're running Hansa and you're logging the data, wouldn't you have addresses of people, physical addresses?
Excellent question. So that brings up the question of operational security for the user. So when you are on these Darknet market sites, the good ones will recommend that you, or even require that you PGP encrypt your message to the seller. So the seller is looking to sell you something, you're looking to buy. They will usually say, hey, look, you need to give the seller your shipping address, but you shouldn't just type it in, because otherwise it could be logged on the site, and any federal agent that seizes the site.
And when the FBI takes over this site.
Right. Right. I mean, it happens so often. You can pretty much expect, you can count on it at some point. If they take over the site, all they'll see if you've used PGP encryption is a bunch of gobbledygook. They won't have any idea what the address was that you had sent, unless, of course, they were running the drug seller's account. So if the seller that you're dealing with is actually a federal agent, then you've sent them your address. But even then, in that case, you could still have plausible deniability, because they can't prove necessarily that it was you who sent your own address. For instance, if somebody all of a sudden wanted to, if they knew your address, Mark, and they wanted to send you a pound of heroin, there would be no way for you to stop them from doing that. If all of a sudden a pound of heroin shows up at your front door, you didn't know that it was coming. So there's always that plausible deniability.
And it's likely that there are people that can watch other people's mailboxes and know when stuff arrives. So, for instance, I used to live at a house where I wouldn't show up back at home till 6 or 6:30 after a long day of selling ads for radio stations, and
somebody else could have
my neighbor who right across the street was always interested in packages for whatever reason, and he would get my packages for me. Now, I never asked him to do this.
Okay,
but he would do it.
That is strange.
And he was a very nice man.
Just trying to help you out, because he didn't want somebody to steal it off your porch, maybe?
That's how he was, right? Like, he was very much about operational security for the neighborhood, but it was really strange that he would be getting my packages, but nothing ever went wrong, so I wouldn't have any complaint.
Yeah.
But if for whatever reason this very nice elderly Asian man was going to get a pound of heroin sent to my mailbox, he could have done that.
Right.
It's not likely, but hey.
So there are some of the sites, Johnny Ray, that will claim that they will encrypt your message for you, which I think is a problem. I don't think that you want to trust the site with your plain text message to then have the site do the encryption for you. It's a lazy man's option. And that could result in, a file being created on that server, which could then be taken by the feds. So Europol, the Department of Justice in the United States, the Dutch government, the Thailand government, these and probably others have been involved in these recent takedowns. We'll tell you more about the sting operation here in moments, and what may be coming next. And actually, I'll see if I can check on Dream Market. I'll have to go look up the address. because the Tor addresses you can't remember them. They're always a bunch of jumbled letters and numbers. So I'll see if I can figure out if they're still online, because as of a few days ago, they were down. And so I don't know if that was just a temporary outage or if they've actually also been infiltrated by the feds. 855-450-FREE. Like freedom. Join us here on Free Talk Live.
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy, fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Dash is set up to succeed where other platforms have failed. Give it a try at dash.org. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at dash.org.
You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live Sunday edition of the show. You dial toll free. Coming up, we'll talk about the minimum wage and the book Economics in One Lesson. But we're talking about the economics of the free market, or in this case, the black marketplace, the Darknet marketplaces that have been targeted by governments around the world and taken out because they just hate it when people are having fun. They hate it when people are altering their state of consciousness, and they, the government, have not gotten a cut of that whole process, and they just don't like it when people are doing business without giving them a piece of the action. And so they're coming after these marketplaces and taking them down and arresting their operators. And this last week has been particularly devastating for the Darknet, with two of the major marketplaces being taken out. And according to, and I've yet to actually try to visit the site, but according to deep.web.com, which is actually a pretty good news site reporting on the underground, reporting on the darknet markets and other darknet things and news, they say that Dream Market is online. I will attempt to see if I can get to it, but people are suspecting that Dream Market has also been infiltrated, and there's some evidence that is pointing to that. But back to the story here about the takedown of Alphabay and Hansa Market. They took down Hansa, but quietly. They actually took it over and continued operating it. Then, when they took down Alphabay, a bunch of users jumped ship, and they signed up over at Hansa Market. And then after they got that big influx of new users and activity, they then took down the Hansa Market that they'd been operating for about a month at that point and announced, haha, we've got your information or whatever. And so now people are rightfully a little bit spooked, I would say. But I also bet you that's going to end real soon, because people still want to get high, and so they're going to do what it takes. They're going to sign up on whatever the other top marketplaces happen to be at the moment.
Right, scaring off the low-level drug dealers, the ones that have the low tolerance for risk, I think is the way I would describe it. It isn't. You're not going to scare off the buyers, right? There's always going to be buyers, because now we have a news story out. More people have become informed. My God, I don't have to go out in the street and get robbed to get drugs. I can just go on the internet and get them delivered to my house. This sounds so much safer and better.
It is so much safer and better.
And I want this. So buyers, not a problem. Now what you've done, thank you law enforcement, is you've eliminated the drug dealers that have a lower tolerance for risk. True. That means you have made a market for the drug dealers with a higher tolerance for risk. The people with a higher tolerance for risk have lower levels of intelligence, fewer life goals, more likely to go to prison,
lower valuation of their own life and freedom,
and others.
And others.
So
more
you're
likely
saying they're
to
lowering
prison.
the quality of the dealers. Is what
Right.
You're saying.
They've made it more dangerous, and just made generally it more dangerous to do business on these sites. And that's bad, not good. But they call that a success.
Well, they just want bodies
the
and
people there to
cells.
protect you
Yeah.
call making your life more dangerous.
They don't care about
success.
that. They're not there to protect you. They're there to protect the state and its interests. And its
The
interest
state
is
has
to
an
continue
interest
this.
in happy and healthy citizens. Now,
You would think, but they don't act like it.
Hold on. Look, even if you don't do drugs, whatever kind these might be that they're selling on here,
every kind,
somebody in your neighborhood does.
Good chance of it, yeah.
And if they've driven up the cost and the danger of these drugs, somebody in your neighborhood is more likely to commit a crime to get drugs. They're more likely to get a drug that drives them bananas, and they stalk about with a gun shooting people. They're more likely to break into a house. They're more likely to have a psychotic episode that results in something bad happening to your family. The people that call themselves your protectors have once again made your community less safe.
Indeed. So back to the story here from Wired.com's Andy Greenberg. They, again, have taken over the Hansa Market and recently shut that down. The FBI and DEA had sought the extradition from Thailand of one of the Alphabay administrators, Canadian Alexander Cazes, C-A-Z-E-S, after identifying him in an operation they called Bayonet. But Cazes was found hanged in a Bangkok jail cell last week in an apparent suicide. Still, expect plenty of prosecutions to emerge from the double takedown of both Hansa and Alphabay markets, given the amount of information Dutch police could have swept up in the period after Alphabay's closure. Quote, they flocked to Hansa in droves, said Interpol Director Rob Wainwright. He said further, we recorded an 8 times increase in the number of new users on Hansa immediately following the takedown of Alphabay. The influx was so large that, in fact, Hansa had put up a notice just last week that it was no longer accepting new registrations.
Jeez.
A mysterious development given that Dutch police had controlled it at that time. So they were getting such a load of new users, they couldn't handle the server couldn't handle it.
Only the police can't take new intelligence information, right? Like, sorry, we have too much intelligence information here on drug dealers. We're running a drug operation, and you guys it's just too complicated. Sorry.
That surveillance means that law enforcement likely now has identifying details on an untold number of dark web sellers, and particularly buyers. Europol claims that it gathered 10,000 postal addresses of Hansa customers and tens of thousands of their messages from the operation, at least some of which were likely Alphabay customers who had migrated to the site in recent weeks. Though customers on dark websites are advised to encrypt their addresses so that only the seller of the purchased contraband can read it, which we discussed earlier, many of them don't, creating a short trail of breadcrumbs to their homes for law enforcement when they seize the site's servers. Now, to be clear, we have yet to hear about a massive roundup of drug buyers from these busts. I mean, these guys have been taking down...
What are they going to do exactly? We have a message from you saying that you wanted some drugs shipped to your house. And?
Well, okay. Well, here's what they'll do, Mark. If they were to do this, and so far we've not heard anything about them ever doing this, they've taken down some drug sellers that they've sort of inadvertently found. Sometimes like a box will break open and, you know, cocaine will spill out in a mail processing room, and then they'll say, oh, where'd this come from? And, you know,
this isn't powdered sugar.
Figure it out, you know, from that point forward or backwards, or however you want to look at it. And then, you know, every now and then you'll hear about a drug dealer taken down through some other undercover means or whatever. But you never have heard, despite all of these different takedowns of Silk Road 2.0, the other ones whose names I don't recollect.
Remember Atlantis?
I think Atlantis just went dark. I don't think they got taken down by the feds. But, you know, for all of those takedowns, we've never heard, today feds roll out, you know, massive coordinated takedown of 1,000 users or 100 or even, you know, a dozen.
You said you were going to tell me how it would happen if they were going to take down the users.
How it would happen if they were going to do that?
Because if they just had me saying, I would like some cocaine delivered to my mailbox.
Oh, okay. Well, so they would, you know, they would probably make an arrest based on the fact that they had your name and an order that is associated with your name. Now, that's not enough to convict you because they would have to prove that you actually made that order. But you know, Mark, that a bunch of the people that they come knocking on their doors, they're going to be like, I did it, officer, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again, just go easy on me. And they'll say, look, or before that, they'll be like, look, bud, we'll go easy on you if you just tell us the truth. And then they'll tell them the truth, and they'll take a guilty plea.
The truth is you're a tax-feeding leech.
Yeah.
Well, they can also probably get a warrant for their electronic devices based on the name.
They could do that, maybe. Yeah, they could do that.
They can possibly
build a case.
They could just send a box to your mailbox and say, this is drugs, and then you go to pick it up, and then they'd have you sort of...
It's still flaky.
But they'd have some video of you handling a drug box.
It's still flaky, though, because, you know, you're going to pick up any box that somebody ships to you.
True.
You don't know what's in it. We get things from our listeners from time to time. Usually it's books and stuff like that, but we don't know. You know, if we rejected every package that came to us that we weren't expecting, that would be a pretty rude thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? So, no, they wouldn't really have a case, but most people would go ahead and make their case for them because they talk to the police, and you shouldn't do that. So, you know, rule number one is you don't talk to the police. Just if they're going to arrest you, go ahead and let them arrest you.
Let them talk to your attorney.
Talk to the attorney. So anyway, going on here, they, in a strange and dramatic move, writes Wired, the Dutch National Police have created a dark website themselves that lists Darknet vendors by pseudonym, including those under investigation, those who are, quote, identified, and 15 of them who've already been arrested in current and past investigations. Quote, we trace people who are active at dark markets and offer illicit goods or services, the site reads. Are you one of them? Then you have our attention. It's still unclear how. I wonder what that website is. I'd be curious to see it. But it's still unclear how global law enforcement penetrated Hansa, given that it hid the location of their servers, admins, and users with anonymity software like Tor and I2P. I2P is a competitor to Tor for anonymity. The FBI didn't respond to Wired's request for more information, and Europol also declined to comment beyond its press statement. But an indictment against Alphabay's Kazes, the guy who's dead now, in a suicide allegedly in his cell, filed Wednesday, includes detail that in 2014, Kazes' personal email, pimp_alex_91 at hotmail.com, was inexplicably included in a welcome message to new users on the site. Whoops. More coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought about mining Bitcoin? Did the costs, constant equipment upgrades, and maintenance scare you off? Do you want to make Bitcoin every day in the same mining pool that Ian and I do? Pool.bitcoin.com. There's a 100% uptime guarantee. The website's easy to use, and you can calculate what you're going to make right there on the website at pool.bitcoin.com. Help steer Bitcoin towards the liberating currency that Satoshi Nakamoto meant it to be. I'm not just making money at pool.bitcoin.com. I'm doing activism while I sleep. Pool.bitcoin.com. What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com. We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, July 23rd, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.49 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,255 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 3.8 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,751. And Howard.com reports this time last week, the Russia sanctions bill was floundering in the House with efforts by the Republican leadership to tack on sanctions against North Korea, complicating matters. On Saturday, House Democrats say a deal has been reached on the matter. Representative Steny Hoyer of Maryland reported that the deal will allow for sweeping sanctions against Russia and will also include sanctions against both North Korea and Iran. Officials express hope that the deal will be finalized before the August recess. The key aspect of the bill is that it will dramatically limit the ability of President Trump to ease sanctions on Russia without congressional permission. The exact scope of the new sanctions aren't clear, and in particular, there's been question about the Senate supporting the North Korea sanctions in their version of the bill. The limits on easing sanctions are something that the Republicans initially sought to impose related to the P5+1 Iran nuclear deal as a way to try to undermine the pact. The Democrats, however, wanted it for Russia, believing President Trump to be conspiring to ease sanctions on them, despite him having made no move to do so in the last 6 months. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports the Republican-led efforts to overhaul healthcare incurred a potentially significant roadblock when the Senate parliamentarian said several provisions key to winning conservative votes would require 60 votes to pass rather than 51. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky chose to undertake healthcare reform using a process known as reconciliation. The procedural tactic was first introduced as a means for legislators to quickly alter budget-related legislation. In order to help quicken the process, legislation being considered under reconciliation is not subject to filibuster. The caveat is that the legislation must relate strictly to matters affecting the federal budget. Legislation dealing with policy rather than the nation's pocketbook is not eligible to be considered under reconciliation rules. The Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough acts as the referee to determine whether legislation meets the reconciliation requirements. She offered initial guidance that several key parts of the GOP plan were outside of the bounds of reconciliation and would be subject to the 60-vote threshold necessary for ending a filibuster. Specifically, she said GOP plans to cut all federal funding for Planned Parenthood and outlaw government-subsidized health insurance plans that pay for abortion were policy-focused rather than budget-focused and would not be subject to reconciliation. The parliamentarian's ruling could be moot anyway if the Republicans can't muster the 51 votes necessary to begin formal debate on the legislation. With a slim 52-48 majority and all Democrats expected to vote no, Republicans can afford to lose only 2 votes and still proceed, with Vice President Mike Pence breaking a 50-50 tie. As of last week, at least 4 GOP senators had publicly stated their opposition to the bill. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports St. Louis will install temporary air conditioners in a city jail known as the Workhouse after temperatures in the city topped 100 degrees Fahrenheit, triggering protest outside the lockup, according to local media reports on Saturday. Police used pepper spray to disperse about 150 demonstrators outside the city's medium security institution, protesting the sweltering conditions in which inmates were being held. Karan Ado, a spokesman for the mayor, said in an email on Saturday to provide relief, the city will install temporary AC units starting as early as Monday. St. Louis voters in 2015 rejected a bond measure that would have paid for more air conditioning in the jail and other public work projects. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. It's really not creepy that little kids mindlessly recite this anthem every day and pledge their life to a government before they're old enough to really think about what they're saying. This is not a form of brainwashing. This is really the greatest country in the whole world. All the other countries suck. And if this country ever goes to war, as it often wants to do, I promise to help go and kill all the other countries' kids. God bless GE. God bless Citigroup. Amen.
Very good, kids. Now come and get your Ritalin.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live is the show. You can take control of the airwaves here. We're into the story about Alphabay and Hansa Market, the underground darknet marketplaces on the Onion router, Tor, that have been taken down by not just the federal government in the United States, but the Dutch government, the Thailand government, Europol, and probably some others. Took out these sites within the last couple of weeks. Users scrambling, trying to find other options. I did check the Dream Market Tor URL. They're called Onion addresses, .onion. They always end in .onion. And it is online, so Dream Market is back online. But many people suspect that Dream Market has been taken over as well. Now, that could be...
Seems like a reasonable guess.
Could be fear, uncertainty, and doubt being spread, but ultimately there was a report online that the IP address in Lithuania had leaked out somehow into their filings, or not their filings, but in their files that are being transferred to every user, and somebody found that. So if that's a true statement, then that certainly means that they could have been found by law enforcement in that case. So we don't know what's going to happen with Dream Market, but you can better believe that even amongst all the fear, there are still people there who are conducting business and buying and selling drugs and things like that, because, again, you can take out as many drug dealers as you can, but they just get replaced by others. And the same thing's true with the darknet markets. You take out a darknet market, there's still thousands of people around the globe who would love to have access to relatively safe and affordable drugs. And that's what these darknet markets allow for. So it's unclear how exactly law enforcement penetrated Handsome Market, given that it hid the location of their servers. But administrators and users with anonymity software like Tor and I2P, the FBI didn't respond to a request for more information, and neither did Europol. But in an indictment,
not organizations that tend to respond,
against Alphabay, the administrator, or one of the administrators of that site, who is now dead, he was found hung allegedly in his own prison cell in Thailand after they'd arrested him, includes details that in 2014 his personal email address, pimp_alex_91 at hotmail.com,
pimpalex91,
was inexplicably, and I suspect 91 was his birth date, so again, giving you an idea of how young this person is.
Allow me to interrupt you for 1 second
please.
with something that has nothing to do with this except for pimps and Hotmail addresses. At one time, when I was a young man, I invented some sunglasses that would improve your posture. And it was a very simple principle. I was inspired by the sequel to Friday, Next Friday, wherein Ice Cube had some neighbors who were Latinos, and they wore their watch caps pulled so far over their heads that they had to square their shoulders way back and kind of look out the bottom of it. So I made these sunglasses that were taped up on the inside at the top, so you could only see out of the very bottom of them.
So you'd have to do the same thing.
So when you put them on, you
have to lean back.
Right, and
Why aren't you wearing those these days, man? That sounds kind of cool.
Because it's uncomfortable to have good posture.
Sure is.
But my email address was inspired. My email address at the time was inspired by my invention. It was I shortened posture-improving sunglasses to pimp sunglasses.
Nice.
And then a friend of mine said, why don't you just have an email address with your name? And I decided that probably made more sense.
And it was a Hotmail address?
It was my next Gmail. It was my next email address, Gmail address, which is my name. But because I would explain whenever I was telling somebody my email address, I had to explain to them that I'm not really a big fan of pimps. It's just that I have this great invention, and et cetera, et cetera.
It was probably a great idea to explain that to them while you were still trying to sell the sunglasses. But after you realized I'm not going to make a bunch of money on these sunglasses, then it just became a pain.
So he somehow accidentally had included his personal email address in welcome messages to new users back in 2014. So when the site first started, whoops. And apparently, I don't know how they got that information, but it presumably was when they took over the server. Or maybe they were just signed up back in the day, and they found it. Who knows? But that's what they claim. That led them to his PayPal account and a front company called EBX Technologies. On July 5th, Thai police, along with FBI and DEA agents, searched Kazes's home in Bangkok and found his laptop unencrypted and logged into the Alphabay site, which is very similar to how they, found Ross Ulbricht.
Except Ross Ulbricht was doing it all in the United States. At least this guy was not.
Well, yeah, but it didn't keep him out of the hands of the DEA in this case. Anyway, they also found a document on the laptop tracking Kazes's net worth, which it estimated at $23 million. A frequently asked questions on the Dutch National Police's own dark website includes the question, quote, have you de-anonymized Tor? The agency's answer, quote, no, but if we would have, we wouldn't tell you, winky face. Despite the sizes of the sites, the takedown should by no means end the dark web's vibrant trade in drugs, which researchers at Carnegie Mellon estimated in 2015, which is 2 years ago, a near lifetime in the digital age, certainly the lifetime of many of these sites, to cumulatively generate revenue in the hundreds of millions.
Almost a lifetime of, what was it, Pimp Seller, or whatever his name was there.
Yeah. Estimated that in 2015, the revenue of these sites were in the hundreds of millions of dollars annually.
Yeah, dude only had 23 million.
After Alphabay's shutdown, many of the users also flocked to another site known as Dream Market, which is the second largest marketplace ahead of Hansa. Now, Dream Market will no doubt take more refugees from Hansa, since it's been shut down, to become the dark web's reigning bazaar of the moment. But fallout from the Alphabay and Hansa takedowns may eventually be felt there as well. Vendors who flee those sites for Dream Market may still be compromised by law enforcement, and if arrested, could potentially give up the addresses of any new Dream Market customers, too. Quote, we know, this is the quote you read earlier, Johnny Ray, about McCabe. I'll read it again for listeners just tuning in. Quote, we know that removing top criminals from the infrastructure is not a long-term fix. There's always a new player waiting in the wings, ready to fill those shoes, which is a true statement by Andrew McCabe, the acting FBI director. He finished by saying, though, quote, it's like demolishing a building. Hacking away at individual walls and beams only does so much, but using federal statutes to prosecute these individuals is akin to blowing up the foundation with dynamite, like we did on 9/11. Just kidding. I don't actually believe that's what happened on 9/11. I don't know what happened on 9/11, but regardless, he claims with the weight of this kind of operation, the organization crumbles. Well, that's where you're wrong, McCabe. You aren't demolishing a building. Each one of these darknet markets is a competitor. They're not being run together as some sort of organizational thing where it's all being controlled by a drug gang from Central America. That's just not the case. As you pointed out earlier, Mark, it wouldn't make any sense for these drug gangs who, they thrive on power and territory. It wouldn't make any sense for them to introduce a method for competitors to compete openly to drive prices down, which is what happens on these darknet markets.
Yep.
So it just doesn't make sense what they're saying.
They have the cartels have special agreements with various immigration and customs enforcement officers in order to get their product into the country.
Yep. Look the other way.
Yeah, and that is their competitive advantage. The darknet markets cut them off at the knees.
Sure do. Dark web users, meanwhile, were rattled by the sting, advising each other to change their passwords as soon as possible and spreading paranoid warnings of a possible backdoor into darknet markets. Looks like I'll be sober for a while, said one user, not trusting any markets at the moment. He wrote on a Reddit dark web market forum. But don't expect even this law enforcement victory to permanently damage the dark web's black market business. After all, takedowns like the seizure of the Silk Road in 2013 and so-called Operation Onimus in 2014, which ended half a dozen top darknet sites. That was the chunk that I couldn't remember because there were so many that they took down. Took chunks nearly as large out of the darknet market infrastructure. Each time business rebounded as users went again in search of anonymous online contraband sales. Quote, law enforcement may have won this battle, but they will never win the war on drugs, unquote, noted one poster on the Darknet Market Forum on Reddit.
Well, for one, there is no war on drugs, because for a war on drugs, you'd have to have both sides fighting, and that's not what's happening. This is just... This is a terrorist attack by governments on its citizens.
That's true. The final quote from the Reddit user is, quote, for as long as drugs are illegal, the darknet markets will thrive. And he's right. These guys are going to, whoever's running the current darknet markets, whichever heroes out there are putting their freedom at risk to provide these marketplaces for people, they're coming up with new ideas. They're going to have to come up with, new security procedures, review their current security procedures, make sure they got it locked down. There's more coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
If you're a sleep apnea sufferer who's on the go to your phone. Because if you give us a call right now, you'll be able to try the world's first portable mini CPAP device absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, an engineering marvel that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. Its unique design is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. No more dragging around a big, bulky CPAP. Even better, now you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights by calling minicpap.com, 1-800-768-3138. Transcend is FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. You can also add a battery pack that's as tiny as a deck of cards. So now you can enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. But don't wait. To receive your 10-night in-home trial, call minicpap.com now. 1-800-768-3138. That's 1-800-768-3138.
Investing is a long-term process. How many times can you think of in the last decade that the stock market has destroyed retirement funds for people just like you and me? For your existing IRA, you need the security that gold has provided for centuries. Remember, gold has never been worth zero. Capital Gold would like to introduce you to the Home Storage Gold IRA. It's a self-directed IRA set up with all the protection and tax benefits of an LLC. But the big difference in this IRA is you invest in gold and you hold it in your possession. You can't do that with stocks. That's security. You can transfer any type of IRA hassle-free in days. Please call right now and learn more, and we'll waive the $500 setup fee and give you a free safe to store your gold. Call 800-281-4224, 800-281-4224, 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
You can't win if you don't enter, and you actually can improve your chances of winning a prize drawing if you wrinkle up your entry blank. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com, and I speak from experience. Why this works: if they'll be spinning the drum before drawing, your entry blank will move around more than, and not adhere to, other perfectly flat entry blanks. And if they don't spin the drum and merely reach into a box full of other perfectly flat entry blanks, many of which are sticking together, yours will feel different to the person reaching in. When you win, act surprised. And if you're looking for work, this is a metaphor. For more tips on sticking out in a world where just too much blends into the blah, 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 hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. Whether you want to comment on the Darknet marketplaces, you are certainly welcome to do that. We are finally done with that particular story, but that's only the story for the moment. There are obviously going to be more developments in the future as the government continues to try to crack down on what are some of the most important developments to the black market that have ever happened in the lifetime and the history of the black market. The Darknet marketplaces are helping people survive drug overdoses that don't happen because they're buying their drugs from reliable sources, from vendors with legitimate product that hasn't been cut by dirty crap.
They're also helping those of us who aren't doing that stuff by
lowering prices.
Lowering prices so that the people don't need to necessarily rob your house in order to get them, and also keeping the quality what consistent so that people aren't overdosing in your neighborhood,
That's right.
driving up the cost of emergency services in your town, and you don't have this, that sort of weird situation where somebody gets, I don't know, PCP, laced whatever, and takes all their clothes off and, starts banging on cars in McDonald's parking lot.
So, yeah, you're welcome to comment. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. And if you want to get your shopping done online and buy legal stuff, you can go to shop.freetalklive.com. There's links to Amazon there. Also, there's Walmart, which hardly anybody uses that. It's the Amazon one that really gets the traffic. You go to shop.freetalklive.com, Amazon UK, Amazon Canada, Amazon US. Click into the right one for you. Get your shopping taken care of, and Free Talk Live gets a portion of the purchase price. It's that simple. It works, and it works well for us. It helps us out a lot, and you get the stuff you want at the regular Amazon prices you're used to. So head on over to shop.freetalklive.com. Ian, Johnny Ray, and Mark, we're going to go to your calls and thoughts about whatever's on your mind, but also we got to talk about economics in one lesson. We've been slowly plodding through the book. It's a great book from the 1940s by Henry Hazlitt, and we are currently up into chapter 9. Well, it's different chapters now at this point because there was one chapter that was taken out, but the chapter that we're on is the minimum wage chapter, and I believe that is, in my book, chapter 19.
Economics in One Lesson is one of those books that when people say, what is a book that encapsulates the libertarian message, Economics in One Lesson is one of the books that people mention.
Yeah, I wouldn't mention it personally for that. I've enjoyed, reading it. It's been, enlightening in a lot of ways. I'm not an economics major. I've never actually read a book specifically about economics. I've read libertarian books, which certainly cover plenty of it. Plenty of what is in this has been in other books. I'm sure this helped, inspire a lot of other books as well. But he's just not libertarian enough for my taste. There's a lot of statements in here by the author that basically make exceptions for certain government wealth redistribution programs or government operatings of whatever program we're talking about. And the libertarian perspective should be one that rejects the aggression of the state entirely. So I'm not, I wouldn't call him a real libertarian, but certainly the book is mostly libertarian.
I've my views on Hazlitt were pretty harsh to begin with. I've softened on him, considering that it was first published in 1946, and that
You're saying he shouldn't have known, or he wouldn't have known better back then?
Well, no, I'm saying that it just must have been incredibly difficult to denounce the state when the United States government had just completed a successul world war, and
people were high on the state.
U.S. boosting must have been at an all-time high.
Good point.
I also, I generally don't go after the small government libertarians out there because I believe we're going generally to the same place.
There's no point in going after them. I'm not going after them. I'm just saying when it comes to recommending a libertarian author, I'm going to recommend Dr. Mary Ruwart or Harry Brown over this guy. That's all. That's not going after the small government guys.
Nope.
You only have so many books you can recommend.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we're all going the same general direction. We're heading from Portland, Maine, out to out to the West Coast if they want to stop off in Vegas, and I'm going to head on out to L.A. That's fine.
So we were going to talk about minimum wage laws, Johnny Ray. That was the next chapter in the book, and this has been an issue, unlike rent control, which was the chapter prior to this, which doesn't exist in a lot of places these days. Minimum wage laws are pretty ubiquitous within the United States.
Sure. The labor there's just a soft spot in almost everyone's heart for the working man.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those working men don't make a whole heck of a lot of money, and folks think that it's just a matter of saying, well, that's not right, and there ought to be a law, and because that guy's working hard and he should make what this other guy's making.
He should make a living wage. He should be able to take care of his family.
Well,
who wouldn't want that?
I would want that, and I'm going to go ahead. I don't know what Hazlitt has to say on this one, but I'm just going to go ahead and
Have you given up on the readings?
I haven't done the readings since I got back from
looks like it's just
vacation.
Me and you, Johnny, Ray.
Vacation back over the holidays.
I see.
But to call the minimum wage a living wage is conflating two separate terms. I mean, it's like calling a bicycle and a car the same thing because they're both considered vehicles on the road by the law. It just doesn't make any sense. Look, A minimum wage is the minimum that you're willing to pay a person to do any job in a given marketplace. And by a person, I mean including 14-year-olds who have a job after school, including, whomever it might be. Look, there are certainly some heads of household out there, but the vast majority of people who are earning minimum wage are not people who are even paying, the rent on the domicile in which they live. That's what it comes down to.
I'm a janitor, and I was offered something above minimum wage when I started.
Yeah. Well, and look, different places are different as far as the geography in the United States goes. And that's another problem, right? Is to propose that the right amount of money that people in Biloxi, Mississippi rural Mississippi should be paid versus, New York City or Anchorage, Alaska or LA or wherever. Like all these people, this should be the minimum. That's stupid. But down there in Chihuahua, Mexico, they can have whatever wage they want. That's silly. It's just a few miles away. So, no, a living wage and the minimum wage should not be the same thing, because a minimum wage is supposed to be what you are going to pay what amounts to very, very young adults working and getting their first job in the marketplace,
or unskilled people who.
Yeah, if you haven't,
there are some women who marry early and they've never even had a job. Then they get divorced and all of a sudden they've got to work, but they're in their 30s and they're getting their first job.
Yep, and that's if that's the kind of work they're taking, then that's fine. Or they may very well be able to go get paid more. I don't know the answer to that, but if you are if you're competing against 14-year-olds for work, then minimum wage is what you're going to be dealing with. If you're above that, then you're above that. Be more valuable than a 14-year-old. I can tell you this: when I was 14, I was pretty valueless. I wouldn't show up on time. I smart-mouthed customers.
Really? Even after you've been working at the comic book store for 2 years?
I'm just saying that.
I don't think you would have gotten it straight by then.
When I first started at the comic book store, I thought
you were 12 when you started at the comic book store.
Well, I'm just so I'm complaining.
Get the story straight, bud.
Yeah, I gotcha. No, I'm sure I was smart-mouthed to customers, and yeah, sometimes I was late at 14. Sure.
Toll-free number tonight: 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. You can bring up what you want. More on the minimum wage on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
If there's a toxic chemical, biological, gas, smoke emergency while traveling at home or on your job, are you protected? Are you prepared? There are over 400,000 fires in the USA every year. Up to 85% of all deaths in a fire are due to smoke inhalation. 3 minutes without air, and we as humans will die. Be prepared and escape safely with our Safe Escape Smoke Hoods, giving you up to 60 minutes of breathable air protection. Order yours online at ase-safety.com. That's ase-safety.com. And get up to 40% off, plus free shipping.
Fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. I'm talking thick, meaty, center-cut presidential bacon. Savory and delicious. I buy some, I use some, I store some. Awesome. No refrigeration needed with a 10-year shelf life. NASA-packed technology. Bacon. Fully cooked, fully hydrated, ready to eat right from the packed bacon, or warm and served. Life-saving, ready-to-eat bacon. 10-year shelf life bacon. Ships free at fullycookedbacon.com. fullycookedbacon.com.
Free Talk Live.
But is God against audio CDs or MP3s?
No, all that technology was stolen from the angels in the first place. You wouldn't have anything that wasn't here in 1947.
Why are you selling audio tapes on your website?
There's only one there, which is Angels Over Pendleton, shows
I see several audio
of
tapes
the angel that we communicated with.
No, you can't put video on it. You can't put video on an audio tape. I'm looking at your website here. There's a page where you've got audio tapes for sale for $6, $6.25 each.
And I bought both Nazareth and REO Speedwagon on audio tape.
On audio tape,
yeah.
But that was back in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting the word, if you're trying to get the word out about, what you believe is going to happen in the future, maybe you should put it on CD and at least move into the 1990s as opposed to 1985.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live Sunday edition of the show. We're talking about the minimum wage, although most of the show we spent on the Darknet marketplaces. You're certainly welcome to comment on any of those things. You can take control of the airwaves here at 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Our Patreon for the satellite channels is still going on, and it will continue to go on. I haven't given it a whole lot of promotion at this point, so thank you to everybody who signed up in the early stages of this thing. You can go to fund.lrn.fm, F-U-N-D, fund.lrn.fm, and get behind our Patreon for $2 a month. If you like the idea that we are broadcasting the ideas of liberty and peace and cryptocurrency into other countries around the world, including Sub-Saharan Africa, Central America, North America as well. We've got 2 different satellite channels over those locations. You can go and learn more. There's a 3-minute-long video that'll fill you in on what we're doing with what's called free-to-air satellite broadcasting. You can go and check that out over at fund.lrn.fm. As we go to your calls and thoughts here, you can bring up anything you want. It's Robert in Bellows Falls, Vermont. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Robert.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, Robert. Go ahead.
I want to ask Johnny Ray. I heard that he knew how to do Bitcoin mining, but I wanted to know if he was familiar with the currency IOTA, because I'm trying to read through that, and it's like a whole different language, and I don't understand it.
I'm familiar with it, Robert. But only insofar as that IOT comes from is an acronym for Internet of Things.
That's correct.
And that's basically all I know about it. I think Bitcoin is really the only is what you should speculate on, is what you should try first. You should start with Bitcoin, and then after you feel like you've got a position in Bitcoin that is okay with you and you're bored with Bitcoin, then you should move on. But otherwise, yeah, I would go with Bitcoin first and not fool with anything else.
Everything else is very speculative. I mean, obviously, it's always an investment, and you shouldn't invest anything you can't afford to lose. But Bitcoin is less speculative than the rest of them because Bitcoin has this incredibly large user base.
Network effect.
The network effect, it's been there. It was the the first currency, the first cryptocurrency. There are a bunch of retailers that are accepting Bitcoin, so it's got a lot of acceptance in the marketplace compared to these other cryptocurrencies. And there are hundreds of the other ones. The IOTA currency you mentioned, Robert, is currently at number 8 on the market cap rankings. And, admittedly, some of these other currencies, Dash, IOTA, Ether, they have some interesting aspects to them, and they can be very exciting in their own ways. But whether they end up, panning out long term is another question.
I think probably the best strategy is something that Mark may or may not have suggested to you, Ian, which was to, say, take the top 3 cryptocurrencies, or if, Robert, you really wanted to get into IOTA, say the top 8, and buy the same nominal amount of those coins, buy an equal nominal amount of each of those coins. So if you can afford to buy, say, a half a Bitcoin, you buy a half a Bitcoin, you buy a half an Ether coin, you buy a half of a
So some of them are going to go up in value, and some of them are going to go down over time.
And whichever one wins, you're going to have the same position in all of them.
Right. I've been kind of fooling around with cryptocurrency for about a year and a half now, and I've had Bitcoin and now I have Dash, and I also have Litecoin. But I'm thinking of the future. I mean, some of the other currencies I'm thinking about in there is cannabis coin. Or pot coin. I mean, those are...
Dennis Rodman's behind that one.
Wait a second, Robert. Look, I can't speak to specifically cannabis coin or IOTA or any of these things, but what I've got the idea is the ICO craze. This is the
initial coin
offering is what they're calling it. It's kind of like an IPO, but an
for stocks.
Yeah, initial public offering, but there's no government involved. So what you have is a lot of BS and hucksters, okay?
Pump and dump.
So, right, I can trot out a coin with a cool website that says, my coin is going to solve the problem of delivering every deserving male in America will get steaks and and attention, right? Now, these are good things, right? Steaks are good. Attention is good. My coin's going to solve these problems. Now, you would know, because I'm trotting it out on something stupid, that it's a stupid idea. But if I just brought out a coin that says, look, it's the Internet of Things, and people like the Internet of Things and Internet and bling, 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 coins, buy them, right? This is happening all over the ether sphere out there,
people are getting rich quick.
And just because somebody said cannabis and coin does not mean that coin has anything to do with cannabis.
Has the power of marijuana behind it.
That the people who are behind it are of any value.
They probably got high.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's going to succeed.
I can't speak to these coins. I can't speak for them or against them, but I can tell you this is your money, therefore your future. Guard it wisely. When you look at these coins, you've got to read, because people are just speculating all over the place. I'm finding people speculating all kinds of things. I find some of the most intelligent people I know disagreeing completely in their opinions.
Yeah. Who knows what is going to pan out? I mean, I have to admit, I have looked into IOTA and I have acquired some of it.
But why did you do it? Because it said Internet of Things?
No, because it is supposedly, and I'm sure it's not the only one doing this, but it cracked the top 10, so it gets attention, right? Like it's in the top 10, people are going to pay attention to it, because they supposedly have eliminated fees. And if that's true, if this system that they've come up with, this Tangle instead of the blockchain, so historically Bitcoin's competitors have all been Bitcoin based, with the exception of Monero and some of the other crypto note currencies. Most of them have been based on Bitcoin. This one was not like Monero. This one was an original concept, as I understand it, to create this Tangle, which is more of a different setup than a blockchain. It doesn't require the distributed servers and miners and all that. As I understand it, again, I've done a cursory level of research into this. I also, like Robert, looked at the white paper, but most of it's math, and I'm like, I don't know what all this is. But
My
if
new
it's
coin
true,
has the cat's cradle in it, and in the cat's cradle, not only are the fees eliminated, but you actually get money for doing transactions.
well, you're making
Actually,
that up.
I'm
but
calling
that-
it the Bernie coin.
Okay, but that doesn't actually exist, and this does.
Well,
and
a coin exists.
I've seen it.
I'll make a coin exist, and I'll get a website, and it'll be.
Yeah, I get this. Being skeptical, and I think people should be skeptical. But I've seen this sent. There are no fees to send iota. So if it's true that that's true across the board, and it's still able to be secure. Because again, I don't know if they're getting rid of mining or whatever exactly how the transactions are secured or whatever. But as I understand it, it has something to do with the nodes on the system are now the important factor, and they have to confirm 2 transactions before they're allowed to send one. So that way, it's supposedly
Interesting.
So he hung up. Thanks for the call, Robert. So supposedly it can scale. Unlike Bitcoin, that's what Bitcoin's been having a difficult time with recently. So because of the 2-for-1 thing, that'll mean it will be able to scale up for whatever the demand is, supposedly.
Sounds like a good idea.
And if there's no fee, then that means that it's the ideal microtransaction currency, which is what it was designed for. It was designed for the Internet of Things. These coffee makers or refrigerators or whatever it is that are on the Internet of Things, light bulbs apparently, whatever they're putting these Internet of Thing chips into, they will, for some reason, perhaps need to send money back and forth between one of them for whatever reason.
It may not be money as much as just sort of tokens, transactions.
For
of some
whatever
sort,
reason.
right?
I don't know what that would be.
Yeah.
But they would need to do it in very, very small amounts, very, very micro transactions. And so to have no fees makes that possible. And it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting, but it's hard as hell for the new user to get into because the software isn't exactly user-friendly yet, and that means you'd have to trust an exchange, which is risky.
Dash is digital cash, a digital currency designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy, fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime for just pennies on the dollar. Dash is the first digital money that's governed by its users. Join Dash at dash.org and help build a better financial system for everyone. Find out more at dash.org.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Investing is a long-term process. How many times can you think of in the last decade that the stock market has destroyed retirement funds for people just like you and me? For your existing IRA, you need the security that gold has provided for centuries. Remember, gold has never been worth zero. Capital Gold would like to introduce you to the Home Storage Gold IRA. It's a self-directed IRA set up with all the protection and tax benefits of an LLC. But the big difference in this IRA is you invest in gold and you hold it in your possession. You can't do that with stocks. That's security. You can transfer any type of IRA hassle-free in days. Please call right now and learn more, and we'll waive the $500 setup fee and give you a free safe to store your gold. Call 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
Imagine, if you will, a virtual world, a symbiotic economy with its own currency, where you can barter your services with others. Symbi.com is a marketplace of real people exchanging skills and services, from web developers, marketers, video production specialists, and teachers of all sorts, to gaming consulting or fitness coaching. Symbi.com is a vast world of people trading freely. Take my word for it, it's an adventure you can't afford to miss. Simbi.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Moments remain. Enough time for you if you want to join us here, whether you want to talk about the minimum wage, darknet markets, or whatever's on your mind, from altcoins, Bitcoin, Dash, the new one that we were just talking about, IOTA. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian,
Jonny Ray,
and Mark.
We were sharing with you the latest from Chapter 19, Minimum Wage Laws, in the book Economics in One Lesson. And Jonny Ray, I mean, I got to say, this was probably one of the chapters that I knew best without ever having read it before. Some of these chapters, there's been some interesting insights and stuff that I hadn't really thought about. I mean, I've agreed with everything, and it all makes sense from a libertarian perspective. But the minimum wage is something that we certainly have covered in depth here on Free Talk Live. But there's still some real gems, I would say, in the chapter. And one of the basic things he writes here is the first thing that happens when a law is passed is that no one shall be paid less than, or when the law is passed, that no one shall be paid less than $106 for a 40-hour week. This is written a long time ago. Is that no one who is not worth $106 a week to an employer will be employed at all. You cannot make a man worth a given amount by making it illegal for anyone to offer him anything less. You merely deprive him of the right to earn the amount that his abilities and situation would permit him to earn, while you deprive the community even of the moderate services that he's capable of rendering. In brief, for a low wage, you substitute unemployment.
Yeah, that's kind of that is tied to what I want to tell everybody who is pro minimum wage laws, that the wage somebody is paid comes from something that is somewhat concrete. It is what your employer can expect to get by employing you.
Right. And that's not to say that if you're not worth a certain amount of money to an employer, that you're not worth a certain amount of money. Right. So in one case, not too long ago, in 1998, I worked at a restaurant called, it was 1997 and 98. I worked at a restaurant called,
long time ago.
Yeah, John's Restaurant in Bartow, Florida.
Yeah.
And
that's half your lifetime ago.
Yeah. This was getting out of prison. This was the halfway house situation. And they employed me first as a dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
And basically because I was going to be there. Right? Crackheads, they don't always show up. Prisoners, they show up. And I was a terrible dishwasher. Just awful.
Wow.
My hands,
not a hard job.
My hands peeled.
Every job is hard. Well, because you're competing for your job, and if somebody comes along who's better at it than you are,
good point.
And so anything you do, you have to be able to do it.
It's not a complicated job.
Yeah, I just wasn't very good at it.
It's not a high-skill job.
I was a slower dishwasher than other people.
Okay. Low-skill jobs are usually harder than every other job.
Right. That was my experience when I was doing roofing and all the other things that were out there. This is hard work. But
yeah. That's got to be brutal.
I was so bad at it that they allowed me to go to work as a waiter which I was very successful at.
Right, you're good with people.
And I could keep the books, do my side work, and do the whole thing. But so I was worth more to them, to me, as a waiter, than I was to them as a dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
So
you, the same person,
the same individual, was worth less than minimum wage as a dishwasher.
Right.
Was worth more than minimum wage as a server.
And you found your place in that particular environment.
In that environment, then I went on, and I'm making more now than I was at that time.
Right.
And I'm still the same person, different time, but whatever.
And employers, they find their place for what they're going to offer, because there's a trade-off for the range of salaries they can offer somebody, and they have to kind of speculate in their own way. They can offer a lot to whoever they're hiring, and they can get in higher quality employees, or they can choose to spend that money somewhere else and take a bit of a gamble. I really don't want to put it that way.
The higher quality employees might bring more business, because they're better with customers, perhaps. So there are reasons why you might want to do that.
Right. All by themselves. There's reasons why you might want to offer more money. So you're going to see in any one industry, you're going to have a range of salaries that people are offered, and there are risks and benefits for offering more or less. And the employer takes that on himself, and he doesn't need to be straitjacketed into something so that everybody has to do the same thing.
But Johnny Ray, if we abolish the minimum wage, then all these evil corporations are just going to cut down people's wages to 5 cents an hour because they hate people and they want to cut down your wages, and it's only the government that is keeping the wages high.
Well, if you're worth more than 5 cents an hour, then a competitor to this evil person can be profitable by hiring you for more, and then he will defeat that evil man in the business world.
Let me ask you this 5 cents an hour thing. Really? This is America. Where is somebody not worth 40 cents a day? Right? Like, you've got no arms and no legs. Okay?
In that case, you can make a lot of money as a human torso.
No, whatever it is, I'm just saying you could be
join the circus.
The worst employee is, actually the worst employee is worth less than zero because they're terrible to have around. A liar, a cheat, all those things. You'd rather not have them. But if you got the right attitude, 5 cents an hour?
It's just a cynical, viewpoint. It's ridiculous.
Right, but I want to talk to cynical people. Right. I want to say, look, cynical people, send somebody who wants to work for $2 an hour to my house. I've got things for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to say is that the wage is inexplicably tethered in some way to the value that you have to the employer, and you can't legislate that into something different.
Right. That's subject to all kinds of market factors based on competition, based on how much money they are trying to make, what they can legitimately expect to receive from their customers for their products. I mean, there's so many different factors that go into play, and based on competition for the jobs as well, because like you said, there's somebody around the corner who might pay them more for the same talents.
If you're a very successful business on the cutting edge of technology and so forth, you are usually paying significantly above minimum wage. You're usually paying a lot, and the legislators will argue that they're preventing these big businesses from crushing the little man. But what these minimum wage laws do is that businesses who are just barely scraping by, keeping their people on the payroll and managing to pay their rent and stuff.
Just barely, right.
It's when these minimum wage laws kills businesses like that.
Kills
businesses
jobs
that are on the fringe.
and kills those businesses. It's absolutely true. Let's go to Sarah. She's in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
You know what? I was told that I heard about this lawsuit against the red light cameras in Chicago. But I really feel that it's going to be a failure because that's the state of Illinois. They don't put stuff like to the voters, have the voters decide. you tear up one of those tickets like they do in New Mexico, they'll arrest you and put you in jail for at least a month. So they can sue them all they want. It's going to stay. They have 60 red light cameras. It's going to stay.
You think the red light cameras are going to stay? All right, well, let us know how that pans out. Sarah, thank you for the call tonight. So, Jonny Ray at the movies. You just saw a movie that was somewhat disappointing over the weekend?
Yeah, I was really pumped about it. The trailer made me a believer, and I went to the film, and I felt betrayed by it, and
What
I
movie?
walked out before it was over.
Whoa! Now, that's a bad movie. I mean, most movies I will sit through.
It wasn't that bad, but I did it because I was there with a girl, and I thought, if I'm sitting here bored at War for the Planet of the Apes, if this movie is boring me,
And
man
you wanted to see it, yeah.
who wanted to see it,
And
then
she
this
just went
lady
with
that
you.
exactly, she can't. I probably will be safe leaning over and saying, let's GTFO because this is lame.
Did you ask for your money back?
No.
Okay.
And the movie wasn't really bad enough to walk out of, but I did walk out of it. And
how long through the movie?
I was near the end. I was
Okay.
probably 2/3 of the way through it.
That is it. I mean, but still, the fact that it was so dull to you that you were willing to do that.
I
is a
figured
statement.
it was so formulaic that I was pretty
You
sure
could
I
predict the
knew
ending.
how the ending was going to happen, and then I read the Wikipedia article at the end,
And you were right?
I was right.
You should have seen Valerian.
But
I hear it's gonna
you're
be good.
kidding.
You should have
Valerian
seen it.
had a terrible tomato meter.
Oh. Did you like The Fifth Element? Did you see The Fifth Element?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know how you'd feel about it. But, yeah, if you...
I'm excited to see Valerian.
If you like The Fifth Element, you'll love Valerian, I think. We can
You saw
talk
it?
more about it another time. Yeah, I saw it opening night last week
You liked
on
it?
Thursday. Yeah, I thought it was great. I put a review up, actually, but comparing it to Fifth Element at freekeen.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Have you...
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, July 23rd, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.49 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,255 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 3.8 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,751. And Howard.com reports this time last week, the Russia sanctions bill was floundering in the House with efforts by the Republican leadership to tack on sanctions against North Korea, complicating matters. On Saturday, House Democrats say a deal has been reached on the matter. Representative Steny Hoyer of Maryland reported that the deal will allow for sweeping sanctions against Russia and will also include sanctions against both North Korea and Iran. Officials express hope that the deal will be finalized before the August recess. The key aspect of the bill is that it will dramatically limit the ability of President Trump to ease sanctions on Russia without congressional permission. The exact scope of the new sanctions aren't clear, and in particular, there's been question about the Senate supporting the North Korea sanctions in their version of the bill. The limits on easing sanctions are something that the Republicans initially sought to impose related to the P5+1 Iran nuclear deal as a way to try to undermine the pact. The Democrats, however, wanted it for Russia, believing President Trump to be conspiring to ease sanctions on them, despite him having made no move to do so in the last 6 months. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports the Republican-led efforts to overhaul healthcare incurred a potentially significant roadblock when the Senate parliamentarian said several provisions key to winning conservative votes would require 60 votes to pass rather than 51. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky chose to undertake healthcare reform using a process known as reconciliation. The procedural tactic was first introduced as a means for legislators to quickly alter budget-related legislation. In order to help quicken the process, legislation being considered under reconciliation is not subject to filibuster. The caveat is that the legislation must relate strictly to matters affecting the federal budget. Legislation dealing with policy rather than the nation's pocketbook is not eligible to be considered under reconciliation rules. The Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough acts as the referee to determine whether legislation meets the reconciliation requirements. She offered initial guidance that several key parts of the GOP plan were outside of the bounds of reconciliation and would be subject to the 60-vote threshold necessary for ending a filibuster. Specifically, she said GOP plans to cut all federal funding for Planned Parenthood and outlaw government-subsidized health insurance plans that pay for abortion were policy-focused rather than budget-focused and would not be subject to reconciliation. The parliamentarian's ruling could be moot anyway if the Republicans can't muster the 51 votes necessary to begin formal debate on the legislation. With a slim 52-48 majority and all Democrats expected to vote no, Republicans can afford to lose only 2 votes and still proceed, with Vice President Mike Pence breaking a 50-50 tie. As of last week, at least 4 GOP senators had publicly stated their opposition to the bill. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports St. Louis will install temporary air conditioners in a city jail known as the Workhouse after temperatures in the city topped 100 degrees Fahrenheit, triggering protest outside the lockup, according to local media reports on Saturday. Police used pepper spray to disperse about 150 demonstrators outside the city's medium security institution, protesting the sweltering conditions in which inmates were being held. Karan Ado, a spokesman for the mayor, said in an email on Saturday to provide relief, the city will install temporary AC units starting as early as Monday. St. Louis voters in 2015 rejected a bond measure that would have paid for more air conditioning in the jail and other public work projects. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
According to a new report released this week by the Pew Research Center, a rising number of weak, emasculated men are working as stay-at-home dads, with a steadily increasing number of feeble, pathetic fayboys choosing to spend their days cooking, cleaning, and performing other submissive duties.
Well, our findings indicate that more and more pussified half-men are not going to work, and instead are embarrassing themselves by purchasing groceries, packing children's lunches, and denying all aspects of their masculinity on a daily basis.
The Onion spoke to one of these effete, pathetic excuses for men to get his response on the new report.
I love being able to stay home with Angela. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
What a f***ing pussy. For more on this story, check this week's Onion Review.
This is the Onion News Network.
The minimum wage. But first, pretty big news this week, and it's not good news for those of you who support ending the war on drugs, who want to see that insanity come to an end. Well, the police and global police are doubling down. They're cracking down. In the last week or two, have really delivered a pretty strong blow to the Darknet marketplaces. And for listeners that are maybe new to the show, maybe new to the idea of a Darknet market, do either of you want to take a crack on a description of what that is?
Sure. There's another internet out there that the vast majority of us don't use, and you can only access it through the Tor browser. The Tor stands for the Onion Router. It was a government program. I think the Navy instituted it, the Naval Department of Intelligence or whatever it is.
I think the analogy has something to do with peeling layers.
Yeah, there's a bunch of layers to this particular internet, and it's far, far, far more private than the regular internet. Like your information there is very difficult to track. So people who want to have websites that are very difficult to track are going to have them on the Tor network.
But not impossible. Some of them have screwed up and left some data out there that they shouldn't have left out there, and it has led law enforcement to their server locations. And they've ended up having their sites being taken down.
Now, governments use the Tor browser as well for their own ends to have...
For protection of identity and things like that?
Yeah, when they have confidential informants or something that they want to communicate across the world, they use Tor for that. Did a government entity create the Onion Router system?
Wasn't it DARPA or something like that? Some kind of DARPA project?
Tor?
Yeah.
I thought it was naval.
You might be right. You might be right.
I'll look it up.
Well, anyway, so there are these underground marketplaces where it was the Silk Road that was the first one, the first real big underground darknet market, the granddaddy of them all, if you will. And they took that down back in 2013. Ross Ulbricht, the founder of the Silk Road, is now in a prison cell for the rest of his life, times 2 plus 40 years. So, they were supposedly sending a message to the darknet when they...
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Call to Freedom on the Liberty Radio Network. As you may recognize, I am not your usual host, Will Coley. Will is on his way back from, I believe, the Libertarian Convention in Missouri, about 500 miles from the Standard Liberty Bunker. So I have been given the reins of the show. And it's not going to be quite the madcap experience that you would have experienced from a Tom-only show in the past. Instead, I'm going to lay some deep and personal stuff that's going on with me right now, and I want to spiral that out into the government roadblocks that I believe are in the way of people in my situation trying to right ourselves. So let me start with the absolute most stereotypical introduction to this topic. Hi, my name is Tom, and I'm an alcoholic. This I don't know if this will come as a surprise to fewer of our listeners than it has to my close friends, or more of our listeners. I will readily confess both to you and to Will that I have done this show rather heavily intoxicated over the past few months. I have been drinking the equivalent of a fifth of gin every night for the last 5 years. I've hidden it from most of my closest friends. My wife has only sporadically known. And as of Thursday, well, really as of Friday, we'll get into why here in a moment, I'm currently undergoing an intensive outpatient alcohol rehabilitation program. Right now I'm on some very effective medications that were once common and are now very difficult to get thanks to what appears to be federal government regulation. I'd like to be able to tell you, that my addiction could be traced to any particular root in my material circumstances or childhood trauma or underlying mental illness. Any of that could be true, but the truth is I don't know. I will only really begin to discover what I have been masking through alcohol once I get it out of my system. I'm sitting here, 48 hours sober. That's pretty much it. But there is a kind of a winding road as to how I ended up having to undergo this program and how hard it was to get hold of the prescription medications that have made it possible for me to try to get away from this substance. So the first thing that I want to point out, and this probably will not be a surprise to many of our listeners, when I went in for the intake, they ask you the usual things. Have you ever had DUI? No. Have you ever been charged with a crime because of alcohol? No. Have you ever harmed yourself or attempted suicide while on alcohol? No. So he goes down the list of other substances. Have you done cocaine, crack, methamphetamine, other sorts of barbiturates, LSD, ecstasy? And finally he gets down and he says, what about marijuana? And I said no. And he was like, wait a minute, are you serious? You've been downing a fifth of gin every night for the past 5 years and you've never used marijuana. And he asked me this in such a way as to say, my gosh, man, if you'd have just been smoking some pot, you wouldn't be in such a bad situation when it comes to alcohol. Which we'll talk about a little bit later in the program as it relates to our current wonderful Attorney General, or as I call him, Mr. Beauregard, the lawyer-in-chief, in his recent push to crack down on reefer madness. So, my doctor prescribed me a series of drugs, which included such, nefarious things as folic acid and B12 supplements, but also some stuff that basically is just designed to keep me from stroking out due to the DTs. Been very effective so far. I've had an extraordinarily normal couple of days. I've been cooking and taking care of my kids like usual, and just staying away from heavy machinery, including my truck, is pretty much it. But the journey to actually get the main drug that I needed was fraught with peril, because under federal regulations, you can only get it if you have the physical paper prescription. Well, I had taken all my physical paper prescriptions to our local pharmacy, only to find out the next day they had absolutely 0 pills of that particular drug. So I spent the better part of last night calling different pharmacies just to find one that had any of these. I finally made it to the pharmacy that did have them with a paper script in hand about 10 minutes before they closed, and therefore I was able to actually start on the road to recovery. And in a way, I understand this is a tremendous amount of federal red tape designed to combat the legitimate addiction problems that we have here locally, but at the same time, this same drug is used to treat things like opiate addiction and things that are really problematically endemic here in the South. And yet, it's extremely rare around here, and you have to wonder why. And one of the reasons why is that insurance, that wonderful institution that was made mandatory for all of us by Obamacare.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people